Very good afternoon and a warm welcome to Malahide Cricket Club in North County Dublin. We're in Fingal, just about 15 to 20 minutes north of the capital city of Ireland. And it's nearly time for cricket. We've had a frustrating couple of days because some rather inclement weather, including torrential rain, really torrential rain, washed out the second T20I between Ireland women and Netherlands women. And we tried to do it again yesterday, but the rain came to spoil the party again. So that means that the reserve day was used on the Wednesday. The first match, Ireland women were triumphant. They're 1-0 up in the series. But the good news is the weather is set fair, at least for this afternoon, let's hope. We still have 2 matches left in the series. Netherlands women, they're going to need to take a win to stay alive in this T20 International Challenge between Ireland women and the Dutch Lionesses, who were quite impressive in many parts of their performance, but they came up short against the higher ranked Irish side. A little while ago, the Ireland women's captain, ex-Ireland women's captain Isabel Joyce, was out with the 2 current captains for the toss. Let's go and find out what happened.
Well, after 2 days of rain, finally welcome to the toss at the side of the pitch for match 3 of the T20 International Series between Ireland and Netherlands. With me I have the captain of Ireland, Laura Delaney, captain of Netherlands, Heather Seegers, and match referee Phil Thompson has the coin.
Tails the call. And tails it is.
Okay, Heather. So a change from match 1, you've opted to bat first. Do you think your team is better at setting a target perhaps?
Yes, we feel like we can maybe set the pressure a bit more on the opposite team if we set a total first.
Very good. And any changes to your team today?
Yes, we went for an extra pace option instead of a spinner.
So who's coming in and who's going out?
Hannah is coming in and Anneman is going out.
Okay, thanks very much, Heather, and
Thank
best
you.
of luck in the match. So Laura, a change from match 1, you're going to bowl first. Are you happy with that outcome?
Yeah, we would have batted first if we had won the toss. It's the same track as the other day, so it would have been nice to go back out there and put some runs on the board, but equally happy to bowl first.
Okay, and any changes to your team for today?
Yeah, we have one change, so Mary Waldron's coming in and taking the gloves, and Celeste Rack is sitting out today.
But Shauna Kavanagh's still in the team, just in the
Yeah,
field.
she is, yeah.
Very good. Okay, well, best of luck, Laura.
Thank you.
And that's the news from the side of the pitch. The Netherlands have won the toss and they will bat.
Lovely to see the gentleman in the maroon toss over there.
So the news from the toss, a change to the first T20 International. Netherlands winning the toss and deciding to bat first today. Interesting choice of tactics. Andrew Leonard here in the commentary position with Isabel Joyce, who's made the mag dash back. Just one change for both of these two sides. The change for Ireland, Isabel, probably not a huge surprise. Celeste Rack going out of the starting 11. Mary Waldron back into the team.
Yeah, I think this is probably the right call, actually, regardless of form. They had too many bowlers on day 1, Ireland. Nightmare for the captain. Orla Prendergast didn't even bowl her 4th, even though her figures were 1 for 5 from the 3 that she did bowl. So it's actually going to be a bit easier for Laura, and Mary Waldron is very tidy behind the stump. So Shauna Kavanagh did a good job, but she's also an excellent fielder, so good change.
It looked at one stage like Ireland may have used all 10 bowlers, 10 of the outfielders. You'd be pretty certain that Mary Waldron will take the gloves. Shauna Kavanagh is such a superb outfielder as well.
Yeah, well, Laura said it at the toss. She said that Mary would take the gloves, and I think between the two, Kavanagh is definitely improving very, very quickly, but Waldron has been a top-class wicketkeeper for a long time, so very hard if the two of them are in the team for Shauna to take the gloves over Mary.
Yeah, and for the Netherlands, just one change as well. Anna Landier in to the starting 11. That's the captain there, Heather Seegers. And out of the team, Annemijn van Bugen. Some good promise for the Dutch side, particularly with the bat, Miranda Verangmeyer, and the innings, particularly from Robina Rijka, I was very impressed with.
Yeah, they looked like they had some good plans. They haven't played cricket in a long time, so I think they'll have been pleased to make it to 130, especially after a very, very slow first 6 overs when Ireland had them, I think, 19 for 1 at that stage. Or yes, it was 19 for 1. So good comeback from them. Miranda's been playing cricket for a long time. She just continued doing what she does really well, but lots of youth, and they looked like they have good compact techniques, solid defences, and lots to build on. And then in the bowling, we've the change. Hannah Landier is a pace bowler. She'll be coming in for the spin of Annemijn van Buga, who struggled the other day. First 3 balls went for boundaries, which is never easy. Good shots from Laura Delaney, but it's no surprise after her 1 over that she's missing out today.
What's going to be most interesting for the Netherlands is, will we see any change to their tactics in terms of batting order? Frederik Overdijk opening the batting of the day, 19 off 38, just put Netherlands behind the 8 ball, behind that required run rate, which was around 8 and over, right the way from the off. But those innings, particularly the 33 off 15 from Miranda Verengmeijer, alongside 30 from Rabina Rijke, really got the Dutch in the game at one point, and after 13 overs it felt like game on. But are we going to see any change to this Dutch opening partnership? Let's take a look. Still Frederik Overdijk heading out there, and opening the batting with her looks like it's going to be Heather Seegers again. Just getting that checked, but it is indeed Heather Seegers. So the captain will be at the non-strikers end. She is going to stick with the opening partnership from game 1 of the series. This is now the 3rd T20I of this International Challenge, T20 Challenge between these two sides. We will have 3 matches in the series, hopefully either way. Today the weather looks set fair, the crowd's starting to filter in, and lovely to see lots of friends and family of the Irish team in particular here in the hospitality across to our right. And we're going to see Orla Prendergast open the bowling from the castle end of the ground, and Mary Waldron with the shades on, back behind the stumps with the gloves on, as you said, Isabel.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see too much of a change in the batting order, even after this opening pair. I think these 2 batters are their strongest 2, probably outside of Miranda Verengmeijer. She did struggle on day 1, but this opening pair from Ireland have been very impressive so far this summer. Orla Prendergast in particular, very difficult to get away, hits a really good length. You have to be very brave to try and take her on over the top, and she's probably a bit too quick to go across the line, so they'll have to find some timing, this Dutch opening pair.
So it's been a long wait this week, 48 hours of rain, but a huge credit to everyone involved at Malahide Cricket Club for getting the ground looking so well. Time for game 2 of the series. Orla Prendergast gets us underway with some sharp pace and a little bit of movement back in to the right-handed Overdijk. It's been a mammoth task to get this ground ready after what we've seen over the last 2 days, Isabel.
Yeah, well, they've spent basically the whole of the last 2 days to get it ready, only to watch it rain again. It's been heartbreaking stuff for the ground staff, but they've kept at their job, and it's been an impressive turnout from them. Straight through. She gets the wicket in the first over. Orla Prendergast, no change there, right on top of Frederik Overdijk, and manages to take the wicket straight away.
Leg stump knocked out of the ground. Outstanding from Orla Prendergast. She continues to shine. Look at this, the movement, that real express pace. That is as good a delivery as you're going to see, reminiscent a little bit of what Laura Maritz did to the Dutch lower middle order late in the innings, but early movement for Prendergast at a good pace, and Overdijk's gone for a second ball duck.
It does seem to be a bit of a weakness of this Dutch lineup, the ball back in. We saw Laura Maritz coming on and taking 3 wickets, and Leah Paul taking a wicket in her first over. Obviously left arm spinner, she's supposed to take it away, but mostly she works with swing into the batters, and then this opening pair both taking the ball into the right-hander. So something that they'll want to change very early on, the Dutch team, if they're not going to be whitewashed in this series.
Prodigious movement in to the right-handed opening batter, outstanding from Orla Prendergast. Early this morning, Isabel, I don't want to give you too much about my personal life, I know you get upset by that, but I was scrolling through my Twitter feed and watching highlights of Whacker Eunice's in-swinging Yorkers, God knows why, but that, I tell you, wasn't too dissimilar. Obviously not quite as full, but really significant inward movement. And that's just sensational stuff to start the day with, and the perfect start, the dream start for Ireland.
Well, it's a feature of the women's game. Usually a lot more swing for longer in the women's game. The ball's not as damaged as early in the women's game, because they don't bowl as fast or hit the ball as hard, but also with the slower pace in general, more time for the ball to move in the air.
Good movement, a little shorter this time, and well covered up by Babette de Leyde in at number 3, the vice captain and the wicketkeeper. batter of this Dutch side. Prendergast just continues to excel, continues to shine. We've made lots of comparisons about her to Kim Garth. That innings with the bat the other day was outstanding, you felt?
Yeah, they're similar in their position in the team, but she's a very different batter to Garth. A beautiful shot down the ground, but not hit hard enough. Good fielding from Sophie McMahon. We did mention the other day her anticipation, and she's straight back into her work in match 3. Yeah, Kim Garth, very different batter to Orla Prendergast. Very much a worker until she gets into her innings, whereas Orla Prendergast is straight in with good timing and it likes to play over the top.
Going to be the first runs of the day. Won't be a wicket maiden to start with from Orla Prendergast, but a brilliant start. All the ones after the first over, 1 for 1 after 1.
Lovely to see plenty of support in Malahide Cricket Club for Ireland women. A few different faces. I see people from the Hills, Mullingar, Clontarf, all the clubs represented, and of course the friends and family of the players as well. Here to our right, enjoying a bit of spoiling from Cricket Ireland. Lovely to see.
Yeah, the socially distanced hospitality tent is out, which is lovely to see, and I think lots of very proud parents across to our right. Ava Canning's going to open the bowling from the Dublin Road end, continuing to grow in her young international career as well.
We'll see the same kind of movement as we saw from Orla Prendergast, just at a slower pace, and she is slightly taller. Gets a nice bit of bounce at a frustrating pace.
Yeah, that movement immediately on offer, and just an inside edge onto the pad. And it's so much about the wrist position, isn't it, where the right arm seamers come from. You can see almost a coaching manual demonstration of it here. The perfect angle of that seam, it's always going to go into the right handers.
You'll find more women bowl in swing than men. It's supposed to be a kind of to do with a weaker wrist, apparently. If you got your strong wrist, you tend to bowl away swing. But nothing wrong with this wrist position from Ava Canning. Nice placement wide of mid-on.
It's absolutely textbook though, isn't it? It's the perfect. I think it's interesting that you talk about it being a weak wrist. In this case, it's probably her strength, isn't it? It's her real stock delivery. Very natural action, very easy on the eye.
Yeah, great to see her back and bowling as well as she ever did after a horrible injury last year, just warming up for a match, broke her ankle. And then comes back for 2021. First game opening the bowling for Ireland. First game for Ireland, I should say, not first game of the season. Good fielding of her own bowling. Long way down for Ava Canning.
How frustrating has it been the last couple of days? I've been talking to a few of the camp and a few of the Dutch camp as well. You wait so long for international cricket, 690 days for the Lionesses to get back into action. And then the rain comes down and the series kind of just after getting going ends up being devastated. That one's into the sky. Is that going to be taken? It won't be. Really good diving effort from Shauna Kavanagh. She never quite got near it. I don't think that was a drop chance. And they'll get through for a single.
Not sure why Kavanagh was the one who went for this. I think it was Sophie McMahon from mid-off's chance all day. She probably called for it early. And you can see McMahon coming around. She had heard the call from Kavanagh. So good decision not to clash heads, but it's always easier for the fielder coming in.
It almost felt like it was one of those ones where any one of three fielders could have gone for it. Laura Moritz is quite tight in there at a catching cover. Difficult to go back over your shoulder. She immediately pulled out of it. Sophie McMahon thought about it, and then Shauna Kavanagh ended up being the one who went for it, but ended up a solid couple of yards away as the ball dropped to the turf.
Yeah, a bit of luck. Definitely a bit of luck, but they'll need that. You usually need a bit of luck in a cricket match to win. Nicely played. They'll take on the fielder. Hit it too well. She was gone for all money. If that had hit, just misses the stumps. Great fielding from Sophie McMahon. Great quick pick up and release.
You're spot on, Izzy. This was gone, and gone by a distance as well. driven really powerfully. One of those classic demonstrations that if you hit it too well to mid-off or mid-on, you can be in more trouble. Clean pick-up from McMahon. Direct hit would have been out.
Absolutely. Just going back to what you were saying about frustration with the weather coming in. Yeah, they'll have been really frustrated. What was brilliant to see as we were down here waiting for the game to start was both teams practicing a lot of fielding in between showers, catching lots and lots of catching, lots and lots of fielding. They're all very keen to get to improve their skills, and that's something that I've noticed from this Dutch team. Having a full-time coach makes a huge difference. There's no one. They have a much higher standard in general than they would have had the last time I saw them. So great improvements being made over in Netherlands.
Yeah, and I think for those of you who might not have seen the footage, get over to the Irish Women's Cricket account on Twitter and have a look at just how heavy that rain was, particularly on the Tuesday. So heavy, Isabel, that you couldn't even leave the media tent to go get to the car when the game was finally abandoned.
No, exactly. We were stuck in here. I was wearing the wrong shoes. I wore my boots yesterday. Don't worry about that. It was end of the world kind of stuff.
Very nearly bowling Seegers around her legs, and the umpire McCready deciding that because Seegers has walked well across her stumps that Prendergast is going to get the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps a little surprising. That was probably still a wide anyway.
Must have been. Well, that's huge movement. That definitely would have hit her if she hadn't stepped across. So that's probably why that was judged to be not a wide.
Hit into the leg side. Probably not going to have the power to get all the way to the boundary. I think just half a stop from Leopold at mid-wicket. So good work from her. They will get through for just the single.
You can see Paul shaking her hand. That was hit very cleanly by Seegers. It's a feature of her batting. She does hit the ball very hard. Too full from Prendergast, and good to see Seegers willing to take the opening bowler on.
Yeah, very different approach today for the Netherlands. You can see that immediately right from the off. They really struggled early. At the end of the power play, just 19 for 1, and it was that fine partnership between Verengmeijer and Rijke that brought the Dutch back into the game.
That's Prendergast back on her line and length. It's good to see the Dutch willing to take Prendergast on. Sometimes you can just go back in your shell, allow a bowler to bowl to you. Seegers moving across her stumps and then shuffling down and hitting strongly through mid-wicket. She'll want to play a captain's innings. Talking to her the other day, she said she wants to show that she can bat, and she certainly can, but a big score from her would be a big boost to Netherlands.
Beautifully bowled, almost the perfect Yorker. Well dug out though as well by Babette de Leyde, right into the block hole, and you could see all the additional pace and spin on the ball, nearly rolling back onto the stumps.
Yeah, excellent technique from Babette de Leyde. It's exactly how you need to play that ball, almost digging it out of the block hole. It almost certainly would have taken leg stump.
And then the one that just keeps a little bit straighter goes through to the keeper, Waldron. Orla Prendergast is 2 overs, 1 for 2. Continues her outstanding form with bat and with ball. 3 overs gone, 6 for 1.
What's impressive about Prendergast, she doesn't search for wickets really. Like, that will have been a natural change-up. And that's the story so far. A little bit more intent being shown, but not too many runs being added by Netherlands.
And I suppose with the real run scoring coming from numbers 4 and 5 in the shape of Verengmeijer and Rijke, I have to think we'll see Verengmeijer in at 4, Rijke at 5. Be interesting to see the rest of the order, how that plays out. As Canning continues, straight to Laura Delaney. Career best for her the other day. We spoke about it quite a bit on air. Probably the best we've ever seen the Irish captain bat.
Certainly in Ireland colours, yes. She's dominant in both Super Series and club cricket. has spent a lot of her career down the order, 6 and 7, playing really well in those positions. Hasn't quite done it as much up the order. Played beautifully into the leg side, just 2 straight from Canning, and Heather Seegers just has to help that on its way. The protection was down at straight mid wicket, so square leg area was free for Seegers. 4 runs.
The first boundary of the day, and this is always the risk when you're bowling in swing without the additional pace that Prendergast possesses. The batter backs themselves to be able to hit with the direction of that movement and swing into the leg side. It almost can turn into a free hit. Going to try and repeat the dose this time straight down the ground. Going to be back-to-back boundaries. This an even more impressive shot. Isabel, you spoke about Heather Seegers wanting to show she can bat. She's off to a really good start here, moves into double figures.
Yeah, the first ball was too full, but this one, not much wrong with it. Heather Seegers holding her shape, lifting it over mid-off. A brave shot, considering she was nearly perished to a similar one, just Ava Canning's last over. And this is when it becomes difficult to bowl. You're only allowed 2 fielders outside the ring in the first 6, so where does Ava Canning bowl now?
Yeah, and brilliant to see the strong intent from the Lionesses today. No doubt with their coaching staff that they have here, Ryan Campbell and James Hilditch working together as the replacement coaching team, really, with Dietz, of course, out with some illness. They'll have reviewed what happened on Monday. They'll have been pleased with some aspects, but you can see a change in mindset, a shift in attitude here in the power play from the Dutch.
Good, clever batting. Yeah, it's not dissimilar to what we saw from the Ireland series against Scotland. First game, they looked fearful with the bat. Very difficult after a long time out to show some intent and no fear, really. But T20 cricket is a game for people who are going to take risks and take bowlers on. And I'm sure that's what they will have been told in the intervening days. You know, rather lose having tried to win than by playing within yourself. Sharp
really,
chance.
Yeah, really strong, powerful shot, wasn't it, Isabel? Put down, but a little bit of self-preservation as much as anything. Delayed to smash that one back into the midriff, really, of Ava Canning. She's done well, probably to not do herself any damage. A harsh adjudication might be that this is a drop chance.
I've seen her take very good catches like that before. You get a lot of cotton bowls when you swing the ball in like that. So she will be used to it, Ava Canning. She'll expect herself to catch those, but a 4 probably stopped. So not the worst outcome.
If you're on your YouTube there watching us, just have a little scroll back and look at Aidan Seaver's initial movement as that ball gets hit back. Aidan Seaver, one of the 2 standing umpires today. I think the dancing shoes were on. He was panicking that was coming straight at him. He's standing today with the other man on your screen there, Jarlath McCready. As Prendergast will continue. Just hits the bat so much harder, significantly harder than Canning. Is that why these 2 kind of complement each other so well as opening bowlers?
Absolutely. You don't want 2 similar bowlers bowling together because it can help the batters get into their rhythm. And in fact, the quicker pace of Prendergast might actually get wickets for Canning, in that people come through their shots a little bit too earlier. Their first 1 or 2 balls facing her after Prendergast.
You played quite a bit of cricket around the world, Isabel, including some professional stuff in Australia towards the end of your career. Did you prefer the ball with more pace coming onto it?
It depended. I think in Australia, very good wickets means it doesn't really matter, and I'm a big sweeper of the ball, so I think probably that's why I prefer a spin. But the quicker wickets are definitely nice, and that's why it's great to see with the women playing here in Malahide, where it is a quick wicket. You get reward for good shots, good strong shots. So much better cricket wicket than what we maybe would have faced earlier in my career. We obviously played in YM a lot, where we had great wickets from Dale McDonough, and it would increase the game as a spectacle in general.
I remember your brother Ed talking about this whilst he was playing, now the head coach of the Irish women's side as well, shortly after a really devastating loss for Ireland at one of the world events. I can't remember exactly which one it was. I think it might have been when we lost to South Africa in Canberra in the 2015 World Cup, and he was talking about, you know, I think South Africa had got 400 and Ireland had limped to 200, something along those lines. It was a real hammering. Big swing and a miss and an appeal outside the off stump, and given Prendergast was convinced. Mary Waldron was convinced. I'm not sure the rest of the fielders necessarily were, but the finger goes up after a long sustained appeal. It's the second wicket, the second one to fall for Orla Prendergast. Maybe just the finest of edges.
She was certain Orla Prendergast. She's not a big appealer, but so you generally know it's out if she's appealing. And Mary Waldron, she's delighted. Her first catch behind the stumps in a long time for the Ireland women's team. That's Babette Dalida. She's got to go for 4.
Yeah, it might have just been a tickle. We're in a slightly different commentary position today, not directly behind the bowler's arm, but a little bit more at a sort of wide long on. I didn't hear anything initially, Isabel.
No, I certainly didn't hear anything, but I don't think that we necessarily would hear. There's a lot of noise around us.
Waldron's first catch since all the way back in 2019 at the T20 World Cup qualifier. Going to be Rabina Raika up the order instead of Miranda Verengmar, who came in at number 4 the other day. Yeah, just to finish my point about your brother, Ed, he was saying that, you know, in the post-match press conference from that game, I hope I've got the game right, if not it was along those lines, that quite simply what Ireland are lacking is exposure. This was the men's team, exposure to that more extreme pace. And the regularity of playing against that more extreme pace would then avoid the kind of defeats that occasionally was going to happen. Is it the same in the women's game? They just need exposure against the best bowlers?
That's exactly right. The good thing for the women is they could possibly play in men's cricket, which is the easiest way to be exposed to that extra pace. Too quick there for Rabina Raika.
Because within the women's squad, with the exception of Orla Prendergast and maybe Laura Moritz, there isn't a huge amount of extreme pace.
No, well, Georgina Dempsey bowls at a decent pace. There are some quicker bowlers coming up through the ranks, still very young, but probably 2 or 3 years away from coming in. I think that we'll see more and more pace bowlers. It's going to be really high competition if we see those players coming through. But there's just simply not enough fast bowlers to go around. And you get too used to particular bowlers as well. That's a really good shot through the offside. 2 short, Orla Prendergast, and that's going to be the first boundary that she goes for today. A disappointing way for her to finish her 3rd, but a welcome boundary for the Lionesses. Yeah,
and the second time she's missed out on a wicket maiden. Just a little bit shorter, and really stand and deliver stuff from Rabina Raika. Of all the Dutch batters the other day, probably most impressed with Rabina Raika. Her innings was a beautiful little cameo. And you can see why she's been brought up the order. They're going to try and hold that power back of Miranda Verengmeier to add late impetus to the innings.
The funny thing about cricket is you can train all you want, but you don't know how players are how they're going to go in the middle. You really don't know what your best order is until you play around with it a little bit, till you see people coming out. Some people really step up to big occasions, and some people fall by the wayside. And I think Rabina Raika might be a bit of a gem for the Lionesses. You can see she's not cowed at all by the occasion. And that's really important in cricket because you're nearly on a stage, aren't you? When you're bowling, everyone's looking at you. When you're batting, everyone's looking at you. And some people really excel in that situation and others don't.
Yeah, some love the spotlight on them. Sophie McMahon into the attack. None for 17 for her the other day. So many bowling options for this Irish side. Going to continue with Seam to round out the power play, the final over the power play, where there's just 2 fielders allowed outside the 25-yard circle, as we have here in women's internationals. 30-yard circle for men's. Those 2 fielders at the moment, long on and a deep cover, so both fine leg and third man up in the circle.
Yeah, she bowls a funny length, Sophie McMahon. Makes it look like she's bowling a little bit short, draws you into a cross-bat shot, and she gets a lot of bowled LBWs that way, so that's why the protection is on the cover boundary and down long on, trying to entice the batter to play across the line.
Huge appeal. Has that hit outside the line? That's what Aidan Seaver had to decide. Seegers has come a little bit across her crease, looked for kind of a slog sweep really off the medium pace. This looks very close. It may well be going on to hit off stump. Did it hit in line, Isabel?
I think you're spot on. Didn't hit in line. Probably would have clipped off stump if it had continued on, but a good decision from the ever consistent Aidan Seaver.
I thought you were going to say the ever charismatic Aidan Seaver.
Well, we can say with that as well. There are many adjectives we could use.
Yeah, no doubt about that. The proud County Wexford man umpiring here, Women's T20 International. One of the small positives of COVID, hard to think of many, but the fact that travel for the international umpires isn't in place from the ICC at the moment, giving great exposure to our officials.
Absolutely. And I think we can be really proud of how our umpires have been performing in the last few weeks. Great to see the top level umpires taking the women's games as well. Beautifully played, almost too well, almost straight into the hands of Lara Moritz. And this is a feature, I keep on saying feature, but this is something that I've seen come into the game since I was playing. Batters much freer swings, open grips, and much more likely to play a big shot through the ball than when I was coming in. It was all about your top elbow. Now it's just get the hands through and see what happens.
Thumped, it really was. Just placed this time into the offside for a single. Yeah, that umpiring team of Paul Reynolds, Rowley Black, Mark Hawthorne, and I'm forgetting one, Alan Neal, before doing the men's series. Of course, they were in the bubble up in here in Malahide at first and then up in Belfast, so they were not able to come in for this women's series in time to join the bubble, but that's really good exposure for Azam Ali Beg, for Aidan Seaver, for Jarlath McCready. Great to see them standing here. Big appeal, and this time the finger goes up. Aidan Seaver had a very tight LBW to a judge that time. This time we did hear a noise from the sideline, perhaps the feather of an under edge. Brilliant keeping from Mary Waldron. She's got 2 catches, and Ireland women have their 3rd wicket.
Really good length, and you can see that one just moving a tiny bit away. A bit of extra bounce from the height of Sophie McMahon. Good take from Mary Waldron, and in fact Heather Seegers was walking. Didn't need the decision to be made. She knew she was out, and she's got to go for 13.
Yeah, great credit to Heather Seegers, something we love to see in the game. Batter knowing they've hit it, and off they walk. Aidan Seegers did have the finger up in time just in case, but a really good catch. That's outstanding keeping. 6 overs gone, the end of the power play. It's All Ireland. It's 22 for 3.
Well, this is the partnership, isn't it? You mentioned Robina Reicha and Miranda Vringmeyer being the two that Netherlands will be looking to get them to a good score, as I bid adieu to Andrew Leonard and welcome another Andrew. You've been enjoying what you've been seeing?
Yeah, I have been. It's been brilliant from Ireland yet again, led by Orla Prendergast. And a change of bowling now. We're going to see Lara Moritz come into the attack. Only came into the attack, I think, in the 16th over on Monday. Being used a lot more up the bowling order this time around.
Into the pitch straight away. Gives arms. Just giving arms to Robina Reicha. Likes that shot, but it didn't bounce as much as she was expecting. They just looked a little bit susceptible to the ball moving into them in match 1, Netherlands. So that's the strength of Lara Moritz. Can bowl a good bouncer. I'd like to see who out of herself and Orla Prendergast bowls quicker. Nicely just dabbed wide of 3rd man. They can have 4 fielders outside the ring, Ireland. Now we're outside the first power play, and they've opted to do so. Protection at 3rd man, fine leg, square leg and cover. So that tells you she's going to be bowling shorter rather than fuller. 23 for 3. A bit of trouble for Netherlands, Andrew.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how Vringmeyer approaches this innings. We saw her come in on Monday and pretty much hit from ball 1. The situation doesn't really require that at the moment for Netherlands. They need to probably build a partnership between these two of their strongest batters.
Good fielding from the skipper in point. Excellent footwork. Well, I wonder, is this bowling change being done now because of who's come to the crease? Likes to face spin, Miranda Vringmeyer. Likes to get on the front foot in particular. Hits well over cow and straight. We haven't really seen how she fares against the shorter bowling and the more express pace of Moritz. That's really well bowled. But Vringmeyer managing to get a bit of an inside edge on it.
Yeah, as you and Andrew were alluding to, with that ball that seems to be nipping back in, some of the Netherlands batters are having that issue. They're keeping quite leg side of the ball, trying to access kind of through backward point. We saw Reicha get a boundary away off Prendergast from that shot.
Too wide, but straight to the fielder. They'll take her on, and it's a good run. That fumble just allowing Netherlands to come through for a single. Good angles from Ireland. It feels like they're just honing bits and pieces of their game every match that they play. If Laura Delaney brought Lara Moritz on simply because of who's out batting, then I think that's the next step in her captaincy, just adjusting to the opposition a bit better. Good tight over for Moritz to start. Just the 3 from it. Netherlands move on to 25 for 3.
That's probably something as well for Laura Delaney, with the luxury of the amount of bowlers she has, that she probably has a bowler for almost every situation and for different batters. As you say, it's good to see that she's adapting to the certain batters that are at the crease, and probably McMahon and Moritz are the right two to be bowling at this stage. Trying to keep these tight, and you'd have to think that if they were to break this partnership, that they'd really have Netherlands in a real spot of bother here. They're already 25 for 3, but these two were the mainstays on Monday. If they broke this partnership with a wicket for McMahon or a wicket for Moritz in the next over, could be a long old innings for Netherlands.
Well, there's a change in field. They're going to go with 4 fielders on the offside. No third man for Sophie McMahon, living a little bit dangerously. Just gives the batters a bit of freedom to play outside off, and any edge will go to the boundary. A good single. You just wonder if for the next 3, 4, 5 overs, if Netherlands opt to just go for a run of ball. The fielders are out now, so they can just push to the boundary fielders and look to take the game deep and maybe launch an attack in the back end.
Yeah, you'd have to think that's probably the way they're going to go, but this field is a bit prohibiting for Sophie McMahon. She's going to have to bowl very stump to stump here, because anything even on that 4th, 5th stump line, with the way Netherlands batters have been trying to kind of pierce that cut shot away. Just got Laura Delaney there, backward point, plenty of empty space down towards the big tree at Malahide.
Well, sometimes you do it to try and invite them to play an uncomfortable shot. So Ringmeyer good down the ground, trying to make her look to dab it down to third man. She's bowling to the field so far. That was the fielder that was brought across from third man, Emma Richardson. Probably see her spin later on. There's also Leah Paul. Her left arm spin will no doubt be seen soon, as well as the captain herself, Laura Delaney, bowling her medium pace. They take on Moritz at extra cover. She goes probably to the wrong end. Rabina Reicha always going to get home, but Lara Moritz sitting on the ring.
Yeah, not really looking to stop a single there, Moritz. They get through quite easily in the end. The Netherlands only going at 3.6 and over at this stage of the innings. It's just important for Ireland to prevent as many boundaries as possible. See whether they can squeeze that run rate even more.
I think we can see what the game plan is just from this over. Happy to take singles. So Lara Moritz come actually closer for Rabina Reicha. So perhaps just going deep in the ring for Miranda Ringmeyer. She does hit very strongly down the ground, as we've said, so trying to close the gap between mid-off and extra cover. And again, just happy to take the single out to cover. So good cricket from Netherlands, going at almost a run every ball. I think at this point in the game, when you go 3 down, you have to think, right, we're readjusting, we're going to try and get to 120, 130 and see if we can put pressure on early on in the second innings and perhaps win the game that way. Almost a run out. Good field placement. So just the 4 singles, a good over from Sophie McMahon. There are 8 gone. Netherlands 29 for 3.
Yeah, very impressive from McMahon again, as it has been from Ireland throughout this afternoon so far. As you mentioned there, Isabel, Netherlands looking to just rebuild, trying to get up to some type of score that they can try and defend. They're going to probably have to take their medicine in the next couple of overs. These two are so key for the overall destination of their finishing total.
Well, the other thing they might be doing is they might be waiting for certain bowlers to come on. These aren't the bowlers that they fancy taking down, so look for some singles and wait for the bowler that is your preferred type of bowler to hit for boundaries. They keep on picking her out, Laura Delaney. Doing a great job for Lara Moritz. She's been too wide and too short up until now. You wouldn't be able to tell that from her figures. Laura Delaney doing great work behind point.
Yeah, she's been very busy in there, the Irish captain. Just prevented a couple of boundaries now.
Bouncer too quick for Veringmeyer. She picked it up early but couldn't get the shot off early enough to hit it down to deep backward square. I'd love to see a bit of aggression. She's probably the most aggressive bowler in the team, Moritz, but if she does hit someone in the helmet, she seems to feel a bit sorry afterwards. That's a better line. That's where you need to bowl to Veringmeyer. She doesn't look comfortable going on the back foot.
Yeah, well, they've done well here. Veringmeyer 35 off 15 on Monday, just 3 off 9 so far today. They've done well to stifle those boundary options of hers early on in her innings, and you feel whether something might have to happen in the next couple of overs.
I'll take on mid-on, but decide not to. Good support from the boundary. Good to hear the supporters supporting the bowler rather than shouting insults to the batters. Something that Irish supporters generally do really well. This time she gets it. Third time lucky for Veringmeyer. Really good shot. Too quick, really, for Orla Prendergast to even attempt a chase. So good boundary for the Netherlands.
Yeah, excellent shot this from Veringmeyer. Have to feel it was a little bit telegraphed from Moritz. Everything's been pretty short in this over. You could tell that time Veringmeyer was just waiting on the back foot for that delivery. He swatted it away in front of square. Very good shot.
Much better length. Short of a length as opposed to short. A bit of extra pace, I think, there to close out the over. Just that boundary from it. 9 gone. Netherlands 33 for 3. An Irish person's nightmare, that scorecard.
Absolutely. And looks like we're going to see a change in bowling now, and we're going to see the first bit of spin today, and Emma Richardson's going to come into the attack from the Dublin Road end of the ground.
Yeah, a bit of a change in action for Emma Richardson since the end of the season in New Zealand, excuse me. She's changing a bit more front on, looking to try and get a little bit more spin on the ball. I thought it was pretty good before myself, but she's not someone who likes to rest on her laurels, always trying to improve. She's going to start around the wicket. We'll probably see her come back over once she gets into her spell.
Coming into the attack for Ireland, wearing shirt number 8, Emma Richardson.
So protection for Emma Richardson is on the leg side, square leg, straight mid wicket, long on, and then cover on the boundary. This is the matchup. Miranda Veringmeyer enjoys facing spin, but she does also tend to get out to spin as well. Can Emma Richardson weave a web? Spin a web, I should say.
you'd have to think that overall Ringmar is going to take the aggressive option to spin. Just one for you, Isabel. Are you a little bit surprised? I know me and Andrew spoke about it on Monday, how late Leah Paul is usually brought into the attack, considering in recent months how good she's been for Ireland. She doesn't seem to ever really be bowled before maybe the 12th, 13th over.
Strong shot to that player, Leah Paul. I would say it's probably a tactic. She's good when batters are taking her on, so that tends to happen in the back end of a game. They've decided that's her role in the team, and she's the ultimate team player. No complaints from her. If she didn't bowl in the first game against Scotland in that series, and then ended up player of the series, and then again was a bowler, I think, number 7 in match 1. So that's just the type of player she is. Really good fielding from Sophie McMahon. Ringmar comes down and plays it strongly down the ground, but along the ground, so well fielded by mid-off.
Yeah, really good work from Sophie McMahon. She seems to be inked in that mid-off position now for Ireland, both off the seamer and spinner. Such an important position, and I always find deceptively hard as well.
One of the most difficult positions, mid-off. Even harder than mid-on, I would say. Very hard to read off the bat whether it's going to go to your left or right. You have to move well laterally, but often have to attack the ball as well, but seems to have all the skills down. And again, picks out that fielder. Bit of a wild throw, but well backed up by Canning. Good over so far from Richardson. Much better than her first over on Monday. Just 3 from it with 1 ball to go. She'll want to get out of this over. We might see her bowl it a little bit flatter. She's changing the field, square leg coming in and mid-off going back to long off. Yeah, just bowls it flatter, makes sure that the ball just goes for 1. So 4 from it. That's half the overs gone, and Netherlands just trickling along at 37 for 3.
Yeah, certainly Ireland's first half here in Malahide for their 3rd T20 international between Ireland and Netherlands. You just sense with Ringmar that something's going to happen in the next over or two. She's beginning to tick a little bit. She was trying to get after Richardson in that previous over. Be interesting to see whether she takes on Moritz or whether she maybe waits for Richardson in the next over to try and go again.
Robina Raika, you can see a lot of the time actually dropping her hands before the ball is even bowled. She's clearly decided she's going to knock the ball around for singles, whereas Ringmar has hit the ball hard at fielders. She's just gone deep in her crease expecting the ball short and clubs it away in front of mid-wicket. She's not going to hang around and let the bowlers bowl at her. Clubbed away in front of mid-wicket for a boundary.
And it's a good shot because it wasn't that short from Moritz this time round. She's adjusted to the length very well and ends up pulling it very strongly, well in front of square.
So questions being asked of Moritz here. She might have to change her length, bowl a Yorker or a bouncer. No, goes the same length, and it's the same result. That one racing over the rope. That's back-to-back boundaries.
Yeah, I thought Ringmar was beginning to tick, and she's gone and hit 2 boundaries away. Must say, maybe a change in field is required for Ringmar, and we're going to see one here with fine leg coming into the ring and mid-on being pushed back to long on. You'd think that's probably a sensible enough option.
Yeah, even when there was no third man for Sophie McMahon, she wasn't trying to hit it there. She has her areas and she's going to try and hit them. That's down the ground. Beautiful shot through the offside. Excellent fielding in extra cover from Orla Prendergast. A good hand, but they managed to come away with a single. A good result for Moritz because it was a beautiful shot.
Yeah, an excellent piece of fielding from Prendergast here because this was hit terrifically hard.
Fine leg goes back and long on comes into mid-on for Raika. A strong shot but straight to the fielder. Just bowling too short. Moritz, and sometimes the quicker pace is actually a bad thing. She's finding it difficult to find the length that doesn't either get hit back past her or get pulled.
Yeah, she's trying to hammer away that kind of just back of a length delivery, but just on this pitch, if it is that little bit too short, it does sit up.
That's the length that she should be looking to bowl, especially with cover and third man out. She has a good slower ball out the back of the hand as well, Maritz, so we probably won't see that in this over because there's only one ball left to go. Hopeful appeal. She knew straight away that it wasn't a wicket, but a good finish to the over for Maritz. The first 3 balls going for 9, the last 3 going for none. 11 gone. Netherlands 46 for 3.
Yeah, very good fight back there from Lara Maritz, and just showed on those last couple of deliveries exactly that length that she's very, very effective at, that in-between length. Very hard to get away.
Just the 9 overs to go. And match 1, Netherlands were 74 for the loss of 3 wickets. They made it to 132 for 7. So plenty of time to get the score up. That was 60 in the last 9. They'll be looking to add a few more than that. Seema Richardson continues from the Dublin Road end. Floats it up, invites the shot down the ground, but misfield on the boundary from Gabby Lewis. It's a really difficult one there when it bounces just in front of you. Very difficult to judge how it's going to bounce, but she'll be very upset with herself. Lewis sets high standards for herself in the field, and Richardson no doubt will also be very disappointed. She's put her strong boundary fielders down there just for that reason, and it just kicked on a little bit quicker than Gabby Lewis was expecting. Again down the ground, doesn't hit it well enough to get too long off. Seth McMahon running in, trying to take the catch.
Yeah, you can definitely see the Veringmar's really trying to up it here. That one for Gabby Lewis, just a very awkward one. It can suddenly just skid through. Sometimes you can get a balloon bounce. It's very hard down there, but I think it's quite important for Ireland how they manage Veringmar, trying to get her off strike as much as possible. Rika's playing a nice little second fiddle role here, but you don't feel she's going to be taking the game away from you.
Straight through. Rika plays her first sweep shot of the innings, and it's a wicket for Richardson.
Yeah, Rika was well outside her leg stump there, as you can see from the replay, trying to play that big slog sweep. Just got the pace of Richardson all wrong there. It was slower through the air. It's clever bowling. But it's a key wicket for Ireland. These two had put on 29 between them, and Rika was an excellent little second fiddle for Veringmar, but she departs for 11.
Netherlands now 51 for 4.
Yeah, just got it all wrong there. Rika, when you're playing a sweep shot, you need your head going to the ball. What you don't want is to play inside the line or outside the line. She was 2 leg side of that delivery, probably brought into that by the fact that Richardson was bowling around the wicket. Didn't take any turn, just went on with the angle. It wasn't a bad option actually for the ball that was there. Just got her head outside the line, and that makes you then often miss it. If she'd at least got her leg in line, then if it had hit the pad, it wouldn't have been out because she would have been hit outside the line. So it gives you another chance to save your wicket. So Juliette Post comes to the crease.
Yeah, certainly shaped with promise on Monday herself. Got a few nice boundaries away early on in her innings.
Very floated delivery from Emer Richardson, I think, trying to get a second wicket in 2 balls. Good at changing up her pace, Richardson. She's going to look to take a number of wickets now. You can see she's got all the deliveries. Nicely bowled. Got a bit of turn on that occasion.
She's mixing up her pace really quite nicely here, Richardson, and just interesting there, as you can see on our camera, ushering both mid-wicket and extra cover to go back onto the ring. Maybe happy to give Post that single off the last delivery.
A deft touch, but not enough pace to get it behind point. So good over from Richardson. A wicket from it is 12 gone. Netherlands 51 for 4.
Yeah, very good over from Emma Richardson. And we're going to see a change in bowling now from the Malahide Castle end, and we're going to see spin at both ends now. Leah Paul coming on. She was the one responsible for getting Veringmeyer out in that first T20 international, and you'd think she might bowl a couple of tempters to the Netherlands batters.
Yeah, good bowling change. She did get out, I think, Leopold's first ball in match 1. The fielders are in place to try and take the catch. Long on. Deep straight mid-wicket, deep square leg. Not sure that one's required. I think I'd push mid-off out. She'll be aiming to hit over mid-off, but that might be a ploy by the Irish team. She does move the ball in with the arm, Leopold, so if Veringmeyer does try and go over mid-off, she might find herself bowled. You can already see it's on her mind that Leopold got her out, going on the back foot to a very full delivery.
Yeah, certainly a lot of respect being afforded there, first delivery.
And again on the back foot. And just apologies for the figures on your screen. There are 12 overs gone, and this is Leopold bowling. Emma Richardson finished her last over without any further runs from it. Nicely bowled, good flight, but too full for Veringmeyer to get underneath the ball. It feels like it's hit out or get out for Veringmeyer at this stage. Does like to score in boundaries. Generally doesn't drop and run. Cover comes in, mid-off goes out. It's a good fielding change. Big appeal, but I think that one's sliding down. And Veringmeyer in all sorts of trouble here. Clearly doesn't like left arm spin.
Yeah, definitely. Leah Paul's bowled very well so far, changing her pace quite nicely and her lengths as well. Veringmeyer seems to be really stuck in her crease. She wasn't against Emma Richardson. She was pretty happy to come down the track to her.
I think it's the lack of pace Leopold bowls with. Veringmeyer would have to generate all of the pace to clear those fielders on the boundary. And I think if she does take on those straight fielders, she's more likely to just be doing catching practice. And really smart, clever bowling from Leopold. Just keeping the pace right off. Short this time, but straight to the fielder in mid-wicket. Good half stop from Emma Richardson makes the ball just go for 1. It's an excellent opening over from Leopold. Just the single from it. 13 gone. Netherlands 52 for 4.
We're going to say goodbye to Isabel Joyce just for a couple of overs. And I'm going to be joined back in the commentary box by Andrew Leonard.
Good afternoon, Andrew. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Game probably in Ireland's hands at the moment, but Veringmeyer on 24 not out is ticking a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, big time. The way she's striking the ball. Real power, real aggression. It's been impressive. All around the ground as well, not just solely through the leg side. You see utilising the offside as well. Being the pick of the batters for the Lionesses so far this week.
She has been indeed. 35 on Monday now, 25 not out today. And if Netherlands are going to get up to something, They'll need her to stay in.
Direct hit's going to be very close. Just home. Not able to affect the run out for the second time. Another good piece of work from Sophie McMahon at mid-off. But I think with the direct hit here, it would have been all over.
Yeah, I'd say Post was in trouble there, trying to get off the mark. Just hit it straight to mid-off and said yes.
Hit strongly into the leg side and hanging right on the edge of the circle there is Leah Paul. Really interesting to see that that's a tactic specifically for Verengmar.
Yeah, almost a run-saving option more than anything. As we said before, only 4 fielders allowed out.
Down the ground, is this going to carry all the way to Gabby Lewis? It won't. She just didn't quite pick up the flight of the ball at first. I think if she'd sprinted in right from the off, she would have had a good chance at that, but it ends up not quite carrying to her, and it comes to her on the half volley.
Yeah, very hard in those situations to judge the depth of the white ball.
And if you're hearing cheers in the background, we've got some of the lads from the Midlands back in town. Guys from Longford Cricket Club have made the journey up to support Ireland women, adding to the atmosphere. About 150 fans in at the moment. And remember, if you're in and around the North Dublin region tomorrow, come and get involved. 200 people, first come, first served.
Would I hazard a guess as well, Andrew, that they're your little fan club over there as well? I seem to have seen your brilliant dismissal on the weekend with celebration included.
No idea what you're talking about. Let's move swiftly on. 6 overs remain, 55 for 4. Netherlands winning the toss, choosing to bat first today. Change of tactic from them?
Yeah, trying to get a score on the board, I suppose, and try and see whether they can exploit any chinks in the Ireland armour. Chasing runs down, which has been, I suppose, their downfall in years gone by. Remembering those qualifiers up in Scotland where they were failing to chase runs against the likes of Thailand. Trying to maybe bring back some of those memories.
Worked into the leg side by Verengmar. Slightly different pace to the innings today from Verengmar. It was real sort of fireworks and a blitzkrieg right from the off, as the Netherlands needed a required run rate of 11, 12 and over, but she's paced things really well today, and we might see her go large towards the end of this innings.
Yeah, well, she's played the situation quite well. I wasn't sure whether, how she was going to approach the situation coming in at 25 for 3, but she's batted with an awful lot of common sense and been able to get those boundaries away when she's needed them as well. So ticking away at near on a run of ball, and as you say, has the opportunity to go big in the last few.
Gone big into the leg side this time and not able to dissect the 2 fielders out there. Paul again used late in the innings. Is this a tactic from the Irish women, you feel?
Yeah, well, I was only talking to Isabel about it because I know probably me and you would be advocates of getting her to bowl maybe slightly earlier on in the innings, but it does seem to be a tactic that she seems to be better with batters trying to really go after her. It's difficult to get away.
I suppose a little bit like we see Rashid Khan used in the men's game. That is one of the great advantages for spinners in the T20 game. Nice to see a little apology there to Mary Waldron, the ball just coming off the edge of the bat. She's been really impressive with the gloves back into Irish colours for the first time. What a momentous occasion for her. You wonder at some points through this pandemic, would Waldron maybe have been questioning, was this day ever going to come?
Yeah, you'd have to think so. But she's worked very hard since returning to Ireland. She's obviously a very good umpire as well, in her spare time as well. But she's been a brilliant servant for Irish cricket. An excellent wicket keeper behind the stumps. Always has been. Very natural.
Pulled powerfully again, but that's where all of Paul's protection is, out towards the beautiful tree here at Malahide Cricket Club. Already mentioned, but a really special mention for all of the Malahide Cricket Club team, and that's everyone from the head groundsman, Frosty as he's famously known around the circles here, but also all of the club members who worked so hard, not just today but Tuesday and Wednesday, to pull today off. Michael Hingston, the club coach, who's been taking the Malahide cricket camp in the mornings, he had almost all of his coaches and all of his club players out working on the outfield to give us some hope. Yesterday didn't quite happen, but looks like we should be set fair for today and hopefully tomorrow as well. So congratulations to everyone here at the village at Malahide Cricket Club. Thank you for your efforts. 15 overs gone, 61 for 4, 5 overs remain.
Interesting to see what Netherlands will be looking to try and get from these final 5 overs, maybe trying to push up towards that 100 mark, even psychologically so big.
Yeah, I think they'd be pleased with 100 from here, 40 from the last 5 overs, and interesting to see Ireland continuing with spin, not giving the Lionesses any pace to work with. Verengmar, though, does certainly possess the power and the levers to maybe even look up towards 110. And with shots like that right out towards our commentary position, you're in action here, Andrew. That's going to soar for a maximum. The first 6 of the innings, right into the hitting arc, slow through the air from Richardson, dispatched dismissively by Verengmar.
Yeah, super shot from Verengmar. This is exactly where she wants it in her hitting arc. And that is boomed down the ground over long on for a big 6.
Going to try and repeat the dose, and it's going to be back-to-back 6s. This one even a little bit bigger. Look at that follow-through, a full flourish of the bat. Like a golfer teeing off with the driver, she's teeing off. That's 12 runs in 2 deliveries. She's not thinking of 100, Miranda Verengmar. She's thinking of 120 right now.
Yeah, she's completely changed this innings for Netherlands now. Moving on to 41. Superb power hitting.
Good adjustment from Emma Richardson, deciding to come over the wicket to change the angle. And she'll be just happy to get Verengmar off strike. This is how quickly T20 cricket can change. This is why we love it. All the way around the world, whether the international game, the franchise leagues. Brilliant to watch. 14 runs in just 4 deliveries has changed the game. Good comeback from Richardson, but good batting as well from Post, getting Verengmar onto strike. Is she going to look for one more big blow off the final delivery of Richardson's spell?
Yeah, she might be tempted, especially if the ball's in her hitting zone. Doesn't need any second invitation to try and get that big shot out over long on.
And it's not going to be a 6, but it will be a 4. The aerial route taken, but a couple of bounces away over the rope right next to that hospitality tent, where all of a sudden the Irish fans, they've been silenced by a blitzkrieg, a sensational, stunning attack from Miranda Verengmar of the Lionesses.
Yeah, superb from herself, moving on to 46 not out and bringing Netherlands to 80 now off 16 at the start of that over. We weren't sure whether they'd get to 100. Now they'd be very disappointed not to. She just took a fancy there to Emma Richardson. She was bowling in. Sometimes you're facing a bowler and it's exactly what you want to face. And she's clearing that front leg out of the way and hitting very strongly.
Worked into the offside, and again, good batting. Batting is all about partnerships. Juliette Post has clearly recognised that Verengmar is onto something very, very special here. Just doing exactly what she needs to, getting Verengmar onto strike, 4 short of a T20I 50. Pressure on the bowlers. This one sliding down the leg side.
Well, how often do you see it? Leah Paul obviously trying not to bowl into that slot of Verengmar, trying to rush one through onto her pads, ends up straying down the leg side.
Heaved into the deep again. There is protection out there, and you have to think that all of Ireland's bowlers at this stage will be just looking to try and restrict Verengmar to singles. The less strikes she can get over the course of this last 3 or 4 overs, the better for the home side. Slower through the air, and again good batting from Post, gets it down the ground for a single. Verengmar's been the pick of the batters, but some good stuff in support from the Lionesses as well.
Yeah, exactly. Both Rabina Raika and now Juliet Post have both played some excellent little second fiddle innings here. As you say, it's key for Post in this situation to not face any dot balls. Just make sure to get Veringmar back on strike.
Worked down the ground with one of Veringmar's favourite shots, which is the pull shot. She's been really good at the way she's picked up length today, but also adjusted to some of the deliveries that have kept a little bit lower. This pitch after a couple of days of rain, certainly not quite as quick as the one for the first T20I. Good reading of the conditions. That one there, a good example. No pace really at all to work with, and lots of singles in this over so far.
It's been good bowling from Leopold, taking a lot of the pace off the deliveries against Post, trying to get her to force the initiative, and then changing things up for Veringmar. Will be looking to just desperately get out of her over without a boundary, which for Ireland will be a win at this stage of the innings.
Veringmar is going to keep the strike. Good over for the Netherlands. 6 singles and the wide coming from it. 7 runs. 3 overs remain. 87 for 4. Let's take a look at the bowling figures. Some good stuff, particularly from the spearhead of this attack, Orla Prendergast, but that really expensive final over for Emma Richardson ruining her figures somewhat. Where will Ireland look to bowl these final 3 overs from? One from Prendergast, surely. Where will the other 2 come from?
Well, I was going to suggest that it might have been 2 from Sophie McMahon, but it looks like Orla Prendergast is going to be brought back in here for the 18th over from the Dublin Road end, probably to try and take that wicket. You'd assume then maybe it might be 1 over from Sophie McMahon and 1 from Lara Maritzer. Potentially, if there was a wicket, they could even keep Leah Paul on for her 4th over, even though it's later on in the innings. It can sometimes be hard to get that really slow bowling away.
Sunshine comes out and streams across the ground. That's a welcome sight after 2 days of really heavy rain here at the beautiful Malahide Cricket Club grounds. We tried yesterday on the reserve day. I'm getting an awful lot of stick here on my Twitter handle, Andrew. My apologies. I just said that the fan club in the crowd, the Fionn Hand Appreciation Society, have come all the way up from Longford. They of course have come from Mullingar Cricket Club. Getting my Midlands destinations mixed up. Enjoyed playing cricket up in both of those fine grounds. Sorry to the lads, great to have you here. Not going to be 50, not yet. Hit too firmly at Sophie McMahon, who's been really good at mid-off.
Yeah, she's been superb. I was only mentioning with Isabel how hard mid-off can be to field at some stage. But she's kept attacking the ball really well, hasn't let any fumbles go. Saved a fair few singles in that situation as well.
That's going to be the moment. She's going to move to 50 and her teammates rise down on the bench, just making sure she got there in time. She was always going to. A fantastic innings, 5 4s and 2 6s. Miranda Veringmar, her second T20 international 50, and the second time she's passed 50 against Ireland. Her previous best 60 from 48 balls against Ireland. This innings has been a gem.
Yeah, it's been absolutely superb from Veringmar, and well-deserved half century, as you can see there on your screen, off just 42 balls. But she'll be now looking at the next 16 deliveries of this innings. What can she do? What can she get the Netherlands up to?
Cut away, and really good stuff from Juliet Post as well. She's playing a sparkling little cameo. She moves into double figures. This partnership has been a fine one. It's bringing the Netherlands right into the equation of this match. Can they square the series here? They're going to need to win today to stay alive.
Yeah, it's been a good partnership this between these two. They've put on 38 now for this 5th wicket.
You can see immediately the difference between Orla Prendergast's opening spell, where there was significant inward movement, and that throw coming in from Kavanagh. Orla Prendergast couldn't see a thing, because looking straight into the sun that's streaming across from the right hand side of your screen there. Nearly a nasty moment for Prendergast, but no real movement late in the innings now.
No, and she tends to change her pace an awful lot more and changes her length, goes more Yorker length at times.
Beautiful drive, and the first real misfield we've seen from Sophie McMahon. Not going to be too costly. They're always getting through for the single anyway. Good tight stuff this from Orla Prendergast. She continues to excel, opening the bowling for Ireland. Remarkable to think she's just 19 years of age. First time she's taken such good figures in a T20 international. In fact, she's going to ruin her career best with that boundary off the final ball of the over. It's happened a little bit off the final balls of all her overs. Twice she gave away maidens. This time she gives away a boundary on the final delivery. A really good spell of bowling nonetheless, but the Netherlands continue to excel. 95 for 4 after 18 overs.
Yeah, that was a slower delivery from Prendergast, as you could see on your replay. And it was just too short and ended up sitting up there for Veringmeyer. And with the way she's hitting them at the moment, she needs no second invitation to be hitting that sort of a delivery away. Manages to bisect deep mid-wicket and long on, which is easier said than done. We're going to see a change in bowling now. Sophie McMahon, who was so impressive earlier with the ball, 1 for 6 from her 2 overs, is going to come back into the attack this time from the Malahide Castle end.
Yeah, Leopold taken out of the attack, 3 overs, none for 14 for her. But I suspect with this move to McMahon from the Castle end, it means we'll see Ava Canning close out the innings from the near end, or possibly Laura Moritz, of course. Laura Moritz would give the Lionesses that extra pace to work with. Just 5 or 6, 10 minutes ago maybe, Andrew, we were talking about could the Dutch get up to 100. They're thinking very much of 115 maybe now. Miranda Verangmar's played probably the best innings of her T20I career, the oldest member of this Dutch squad, and showing that how important experience is in the T20 game.
Exactly, but she's judged her innings really well here. She had to take her medicine early on. She was 3 off 11 deliveries at one stage. Bear in mind, she's been able to catch up, as you can do at Malahide. It's a run-scoring ground.
Almost hit too well. She got a little bit more of that. For Engmar, it would have gone all the way to Gabby Lewis, who's posted out at cow corner right underneath that beautiful tree here. It's been impressive stuff, particularly in the second half of the innings from the Dutch, just like it was in the second half of their batting innings when they came up short in game 1 of the series. You'd have to think with the likes of both Stera Callas and Marlowe's Bratt to come back into this side, it's going to be a highly competitive T20 World Cup qualifiers down in La Manga.
Yeah, it will be. Massive pressure and massive stakes on the line for both sides. And I think if the Dutch could just manage to get off to that slightly better start in the power play. How
hard is that hit? Just a matter of yards to the left of Rebecca Stokel, but it's nearly flown past her. I'm not sure, with the exception of maybe a couple of Orla Prendergast big hits, we've seen the ball hit as cleanly by anyone on show here this week as Miranda Verengmar. No, she's just managed to get the pace of this pitch really well. She's timing it well. She's sitting back in her crease a lot of the time, waiting for that slightly shorter delivery now to pull away. Yeah, she specifically favours that pull shot. What's going to be interesting here for me after 5 singles to start the over, no damage done to Sophie McMahon. Will Verengmar be thinking, I'll take the single and keep the strike as the 100 comes up, 7 deliveries remain, or is she going to look to go big? She strikes me as the type that might look to go big here. And maybe not look for the single. And she's going to end up with the single, and she will keep the strike. Super stuff. This is a magnificent partnership for the Lionesses. They've batted superbly well. That's the 50 partnership coming up from just 45 deliveries in the course of less than 30 minutes. The game is turned on its head. Ireland are going to have a chase It's going to need at least 5 and over. And this game is, thanks to this 5th wicket partnership, rightly in the balance right now.
Yeah, I'd say Netherlands would have taken this when they were 22 for 3 after the power play. They've really dug in hard and are getting their deserved runs now at the back end of the innings. And if they are managing to get up to 110, maybe 115 with a really good final over, you're just putting a little bit of doubt into that Irish camp that still need to prove their ability chasing runs. They've gotten so much better this summer scoring in the first innings. They probably still need to be put under the pump in some of these tight run chases.
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's going to be Laura Moritz to bowl the final over of the first innings. Smashed down the ground, but straight to Gabby Lewis. Yeah, I wonder how many ghosts and demons remain from that first match of the Celtic Challenge series between Ireland women and Scotland up in Belfast. Scotland only made 87 for 9, and Ireland never really got close, coming up 13 runs short.
Yeah, it just depends on their attitude really towards the run chase. They've got to come out and try to score runs. That day they were just a little bit stuck early on. Later on in the series they did manage to chase a similar enough score, but with a much different attitude.
Yeah, it was the 4th and final T20I where Ireland were chasing down exactly 100 to win, to try and close out the series 3-1, which they did thanks to a dominant performance led by Gabby Lewis, 49 off 40 deliveries, and a player of the match performance, one with more than 6 overs to spare. But there's going to be the pressure of the series on the line here. There's some good signs from the Dutch bowlers as well. If Rengmar can just find the rope a few more times, it would give the Lionesses a bit more to work with. How hard has that been hit? Smashed, one bounce to Sophie McMahon, who is going to give her hands a squeeze. That was really, really firmly hit.
Yeah, it was. And it was a difficult bounce for McMahon at mid-off as well. It was hit low, like a bullet from Veringmar. He moves on to 60 not out. Stunning innings as it's been.
And really well supported by Juliette Post, who hits her first boundary at just the right time. It goes out to a very happy man right there, part of the Netherlands coaching team this week, and this week only, the men's head coach. That's Ryan Campbell with his mask on under the tree, enjoying the view from over there. He's going to be a very proud and very happy coach right now.
There's a lovely shot from Post. She managed to get a couple of these away against Moritz yesterday, actually, on Monday, should I say, where she was cutting backward a point. And this has been a little gem from her as well, 19 off just 21.
Is it going to be back-to-back boundaries? It isn't, because a superb diving stop. Full stretch to her right, Emma Richardson. She'll have been disappointed with her final over, but that is outstanding fielding, 3 runs saved.
Yeah, this is massive from Richardson as well. Full length, sprawling at short third man. Saves a certain boundary.
Hit into the sky. Is this going to be a wicket on the final delivery? It is. Emma Richardson takes a good catch. Rengmar needed one more run to go to a career best, but for the second time in her career, she is going to make 60 and 60 exactly against Ireland. But it's been a phenomenal innings from the middle order power hitter, looking for that favoured pull shot again, but it skewed off the top edge, and a good comfortable catch held by Emma Richardson.
Yeah, good finish there for Ireland from those last 2 deliveries. Good from Richardson to stop the boundary of the second last delivery and then take a good catch there, short third man. But Netherlands will be happy with that. They've managed to get up to 109 for 5. That may be competitive, and if they manage to get 1 or 2 early wickets, they might just enact some of those demons in that Irish camp.
Yeah, you can certainly see the happier of the two sides walking off is the Dutch Lionesses. Ireland won't be overly disappointed having lost the toss, restricting the Netherlands to 109. They might have taken that right at the start of the innings, but given the position at the halfway stage. Remember, the Netherlands at one point were 51 for 4 in the 12th over. Over the course of the last 8.5 overs, A marvellous partnership between Miranda Verregmar and Juliette Pust has brought the Dutch right into the game, and the women in orange are going to feel like they will have every chance of defending this total and squaring the series.
Yeah, they certainly will, as you can see there from the scorecard. Brilliant from Verregmar. They're 60 from 50, but Juliette Pust, Rabina Reike, even with just 11, they were critical innings in the time of the innings to get partnerships going, especially between Verregmar and Reike, to just stem the flow of wickets that happened earlier on in the innings. And it's managed to get them up to this score of 109 and just gives them something to bowl at.
Yeah, some good signs as well for the Irish bowlers, particularly Orla Prendergast at the top. So nearly had her career best, but finishes with 2 for 14. Definitely the standout. Some good stuff, as always, from Sophie McMahon. 1 for 12 for her. The other wicket takers, Laura Moritz and Emma Richardson. And good tight stuff from Leah Paul with her left arm spin as well. So that's the tail of the tape at the halfway stage. Netherlands women end with 109 for 5, meaning that the Ireland women will require 110 to take an unassailable 2-0 lead in the series. Will they be able to do it? Come back in about 5 to 10 minutes time and we'll bring you every ball to find out if they can do it.
So I really enjoyed it. It was something that I found quite naturally easy to play. It wasn't something I struggled to play from a young age.
I just think getting involved at a really young age it's great fun. You get to meet so many different people, and
if I could go back, I wouldn't do anything differently. I got into it at a young age. I'd probably encourage more of my friends to get into it when I was younger.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoy coaching young kids and seeing them do well as well.
I loved it from an early age when I was 6 or 7, and that's all I did in the summer. That's all I wanted to do in the winter.
Come down, meet new people, enjoy yourself and try new sport.
Get around 11 of your friends, boys or girls, you know, it's a nice inclusive sport and you can really just have a lot of fun.
It brings the whole family down on Saturday or Sunday.
I think this is a great way to get out and about and get real social.
Once you get the hook for cricket, you just get sucked in.
Check out Smash It
and give cricket a go
at your local club.
If I was the parent of any young girl, I would say to you, absolutely get them down. There's loads and loads of things to do. It gives an opportunity to have fun with your friends, but you're also developing some really, really good skills.
You don't have to be the fastest or the tallest or the strongest, and there's sort of a role that everyone can play in cricket.
I think at the end of the day, it's the friendships that you make that is just so important.
Cricket's a really social sport. You get to meet loads of new people.
There's so many different things you can do with it, and it's just really good to get the kids out and having a good time.
I'd say just get down to the club, see if you like it, and hopefully make some friends.
I think it's just an opportunity to get the kids out and active. It's a sport that's very enjoyable.
Just get them down to the local clubs, get started. You never know, you might enjoy it.
With new families getting into it, they might be sort of scared off thinking, oh, we don't really know much about it and there's lots of rules. Actually, it's just great fun, hitting balls and running around.
Check out It's Wicket
and give cricket a go
at your local club.
So here we go. Series is on the line, and it's going to be Gabby Lewis and Rebecca Stokel walking out past the Dutch Lionesses, who are still in their huddle. Long discussion being held between the team, trying to work out exactly how they're going to try and defend this total. 109 for 5 they have on the board. The halfway stage of the innings, it didn't look like they'd get up to 3 figures, but a gem of an innings from Miranda Verengmar, so ably supported by Juliette Post. Verengmar making 60 off 50 deliveries, Post making 20 not out from 22 deliveries. Verengmar out from the very final delivery of the first innings has led the visitors, the Dutch Lionesses, up to 109 for 5, and it's put them into, certainly at the minimum, a very, very competitive position and given them a real chance of squaring this series. Andrew Leonard here in the commentary position, joined by a great old pal. Got Isabel Joyce to my right. Isabel, it feels like we've got a bit of a game on here.
It certainly does. Well, it's a lovely wicket. There's been rain around, so something in it for the bowlers. Netherlands were 37 for 3 halfway through their innings, so they'll be delighted to have made it up to 109. Ireland having to get 110. Rebecca Stokel facing up.
The Irish villain with the new ball, and we saw this in the first game, away movement and no more than a push from Rebecca Stokel. That's a really impressive shot. What a demonstration of the power of timing in cricket. No more than a push into the offside, beats the infield and runs away across the outfield for the first runs of the innings.
Beautiful shot from Stokel, using all of her height. Little movement towards the ball, but really uses the hands to get that one through the offside. Down the leg side this time, immediately signalled wide by Aidan Seaver, and only a glove on it really from Heather Seegers as well. So a little bit of a tardy start from the Netherlands. They only have around five and a half and over. Sorry, Babette Deleda, of course, with the gloves on behind the stumps. Beautifully hit.
Yeah, hit into the leg side, just a bounce, and it's going to thud into the advertising hoardings right in front of us. You might hear that in the background. What a start from Ireland. What a start from Rebecca Stokel. Off to a flyer.
Well, she was defensive on day one, but she's taking the attack to Netherlands today. Just brought the bottom hand in at the last second to get that over the infield, and actually it almost went all the way, just a tiny bit in front of the rope. It's been a different innings from Stokel so far today.
You beauty is the shout in the deep, and what a beautiful shot that was. Great to hear the crowd getting into it. It's a Thursday evening, about 5:30 p.m. local time here. You're watching our live broadcast from HBV Studios on Cricket Ireland Live, right the way across the world on YouTube. Thank you all for joining us. Ireland looking to close out the series today in what is the second match of the series after the second game was washed out. And we tried again on the reserve day, so they would take an unassailable 2-0 lead if they do win today. Final game in the series tomorrow at the same time, 4 o'clock.
Yeah, great time for a match. If you can get out of work a little bit early, you get the whole game, but if you can't, then you can still get the second half in. And Rebecca Stokel really entertaining so far in this second innings.
The runs are going to continue to flow. We've seen one through the offside, one through the leg side, and this one behind square now on the offside. The third boundary of the over. Rebecca Stokel is looking to make very light work of this chase. What a start for the Irish women.
I think they must have been told, go out and swing hard early. Get the bulk of these runs early. Really get the Netherlands on the back foot. Knock the wind out of their sails. And 13 runs from the first 4 deliveries of the innings will certainly do that.
Just drags her length back this time, and the attempted pull shot thuds off an inside edge into the pad. Stokel, we've seen lots of nice little cameos, but we haven't probably seen the innings of real substance yet this summer from her, certainly in the Green of Ireland.
Yeah, she struggles to go up and down the gears. She can start slowly and then build, and then tends to get out in about 20 or 30, or she can go hard early and then struggles to face good balls from a bowler. So it's just something she needs to learn. Still very young, as that closes out the first of the innings for Ireland. They're 13 without loss.
Yeah, super start. Let's see if we can maybe take a look at the match summary or take a look at the first innings scorecard. Let's see what we can get up on your screen here. If you're just tuning in, there's the match summary. So the Netherlands posting 109 for 5 from their 20 overs. They won the toss this afternoon, and a change in tactic from them. Their captain Heather Seegers won the toss in the first game, decided to bowl first. Today, mixing it up, deciding to have a bat. And that first over from Irish Villeen has gone for 13. So immediate pressure on all of the Dutch bowlers.
I think they're all trying to figure out what their best combinations are, Ireland and Netherlands alike. And it's Isabel van der Woning who's going to take the ball from Malahide Castle End.
Gabby Lewis gets off the mark immediately. Yeah, van der Woning certainly was giving us indications of what she can do with the ball in hand. Particularly early in the innings, the Dutch seamers were impressive at points. Enjoyed the off spin of Eva Lynch and Silver Seegers. They're going to need to rein things back in here or find a breakthrough to start making a match of this second T20I.
Two very difficult batters to bowl to, Rebecca Stokel and Gabby Lewis, both very tall. So if you miss your length, especially full, then you can find yourself looking back over your head. Gabby Lewis was very disappointed on match one. She missed out playing, you'd have to say, a poor shot selection. She doesn't usually miss out twice in a row, so she'll want to get her team home today. Very short and helped round the corner. Good placement from Stokel. Yet another boundary to her name. That's the fourth for her so far.
What a start for Rebecca Stokel. Making a real statement of intent at the top of the innings here. So often she's complimenting Gabby Lewis, who might be the batter who's getting Ireland off to a flyer. Today it's been Stokel. Good shot, a little bit too short from van der Woning, who took the wicket of Lewis in the first game. Lewis falling for 6 that day. Van der Woning 3 overs, 1 for 29 in game 1. Strays in line again. This time it's going to be a boundary. A wait for the signal. It'll probably be leg byes, but the runs continue to flow for Ireland.
Yeah, too far down leg side. Isabel van der Woning. So difficult bowling in the power play. Only 2 fielders allowed outside the ring. No one down in the fine leg boundary. So all they can do is really watch it go over the rope.
Yeah, the one change for the Netherlands today is a bowling change, really, with Hannah Landier, who we didn't see with the bat. Coming into the attack, the word from the Dutch camp is very much an out-and-out quick bowler. A tear-away quick was the player preview that I was given. Just saw a little bit of her warming up there. Certainly has some pace to offer, but perhaps don't want to risk her with a new ball.
I think it's a good decision to bring her in. You need to see how she's going to go in international cricket. Probably a little bit all over the shop if she is trying to bowl as fast as she can, but you never know with someone like that. They can really change a game.
And that is going to be a boundary. It was pulled, hooked almost incredibly powerfully by Gabby Lewis, and for just a moment or two, the fielder in the deep, Frederique Overdyke, will have felt that she was in with a chance of catching this, but she's ended up almost confusing herself by running in and then not able to collect it on the half volley. They're always tricky. Isabel runs away for a boundary.
Well, I think if we look again, you'll see Gabby Lewis almost at the end of the shot pulling back because she realised that fielder was out there and thought, oh no, I've done it again, giving it away. So relief for her that she just about managed to get the ball to fall short, and delight as it went over the boundary.
Well, that's the very shot that she was out playing against the same bowler, so her heart will have been in her mouth for just a moment. Caught it mid-on in the first game. This time hit out powerfully to deep backward square leg. Would have been a sensational catch if Frederique Overdyke had gone for it and been able to cling on, but This flying start for the Irish women has brought about an immediate change. And we're going to see the spin of Silver Seegers.
Yeah, she was impressive in the first match. Ball was quite flat in its leg stump. Not a huge turner of the ball, more about getting some dip.
And the change to spin is going to work with the very first delivery. Yet again, Rebecca Stokel has got a start and managed to get out. Looked for the sweep shot, didn't take a look. And delight for the Dutch Lionesses. They've found the first wicket. How badly do they need that? Dragged on and castles the stumps.
She's just let them back in with this shot selection. Not one to sweep. And as you can see from where she ended up, Rebecca Stokel, she was nowhere near that ball. Have to make some movement towards the ball to sweep it. Head position was all wrong and just took the bottom edge.
Real delight for Silver Seegers. The change to spin has worked the oracle just like that. An immediate change from Heather Seegers, bringing in her sister into the attack, bringing Silver Seegers in, has worked and found the breakthrough. Great joy for Netherlands. It's going to bring the player of the match from game one, Laura Delaney, to the crease. 61 off 43 out in the first game. The player of the match performance. Her first ever T20I career 50. You'd have to think the way she's batting, it's going to be the first of many.
Yeah, batting at number 3 gives her an opportunity to make more 50s. Very difficult to make that kind of milestone when you're batting any lower than that. Don't usually have enough time to pass the 50 mark. She won't be too unhappy to see spin on when she comes out. Likes to take them on early.
Yeah, but this slightly unorthodox leg spin from Silver Seegers is a real asset for the Dutch. Spoke about it in game one, bowling slightly off the wrong foot. That one, as much as anything, just skidding on a little bit with the newer ball, deceiving Stokel. She's proved naggingly accurate though as well with this unorthodox action, and disastrous stuff there for Netherlands, allowing Delaney to get off the mark with an underarm throw that I don't think the keeper Babette Deleda was quite expecting.
Very frustrating when you're defending a low total to concede overthrows like that, but Silver Seegers not looking to turn the ball hugely. She's opting to go for accuracy rather than a huge spin. Something that probably works well, especially in 20 over cricket, only 4 overs to bowl, and 50 over cricket might be more difficult, 10 overs for batters to get used to.
I think the thing she's done cleverly is use her angles, coming over the wicket to the right-handers, working all of her body weight in towards the top of off stump. If they do turn a little bit, they'll go away from the right-hander, but if they just skid on, everything looks to always be stump to stump. You can see there just a little bit of turn. So the ones that go on straight might challenge the stumps. This one challenges the outside edge.
Spot on. Just a little bit of in between from Gabby Lewis, caught in the crease. Really good coming forward to spin. It's such a long stride, she probably could have got down to that on the front foot. Looks up to go reverse straight away and gets it as fine as you can get it between the wicketkeeper's legs, and that's her first boundary of the day.
Well, we've heard all about the nutmeg and hitting the ball between your own legs. I'm not sure I've seen it hit between the wicketkeeper's legs before. Gabby Lewis, maybe she's looking for a shot to be named after herself. The Lou Meg. I'm sure that's what Alan Lewis is chanting on from back home, if he's watching on the stream or if he's here in the ground. But Gabby Lewis gets the reverse sweep out. The Lou Meg, nutmeg's the keeper.
Well, she's lucky she didn't get it even finer and onto her own stumps. You don't want that one called after you, but apologies, it's her second boundary of the day. 9 from just 4 balls for Lewis. And she looks to go again. Again gets it fine of the fielder. Personally, like to see her just look down the ground so strong on the front foot. I think it's an easier shot for her and less danger.
We all know Alan, Gabby's father's enthusiasm for the game. Do you think he'd enjoy that shout, the Lou Meg?
I think he would. I don't think he'd enjoy seeing Gabby play 2 reverse sweeps straight away to the leg spinner. I think he'd be telling her, play down the ground. Come on, Gabs.
Play down the ground, Gabby.
That's it.
Best wishes as always to Alan Lewis if he's watching on. Nicely run off the face of the bat by Laura Delaney. Glorious timing again, and could be a nasty incident here. Hannah Landier into the side today. We're going to see immediate attention. And you could just see her right leg jarred sharply in the turf, and immediately she looks in some pain. We're going to see George Dunlop, the Netherlands physio, who's the Netherlands men's physio, sprinting around the boundary. Here, let's hope that Hannah Landier is all right. That was a nasty moment, Isabel.
Well, it looks like there might be a couple of injuries for Netherlands. She was chasing that ball because Rabina Reicha was unable to do so.
Going to see if we can bring you the replay of this, because it was a really pleasant shot from Laura Delaney right off her off stump, and it was Rabina Reicha's, as you say, turn to chase immediately, but good pace shown and good dedication from Landier. And then just there, we've had a huge amount of rain, and that specific part of the ground was actually underwater in what we can only describe as a mini lake a few days ago. Fantastic to see that Landier feels like she's all right. I think she probably just had a bit of a shock from the jolt that would have gone through her leg. Hopefully she's okay to continue.
Just looked to go over on her ankle there, didn't she? It didn't go too far. I saw her foot go under, possibly a bit of pain in her knee. Those are really tough. You can hear a bit of a crack sometimes as well and get a fright as your ligaments just roll over the ankle bone, but if she hasn't done it before, then she should be okay. Usually it's once you do your ankle once, it's always a problem, but hopefully that's not going to be an ongoing one for her.
Quite enjoyed the way she just waved George Dunlop off as well. George Dunlop was sprinting at full pace around the outside of the ground. The Dutch national men's team physio, also here working with the women's team this week. One of the nicest guys you'll meet around the circuit of international cricket. George Dunlop, a really caring man. He was concerned, to say the least, but Hannah Landier waved him off. Off you go, George. I'm okay.
Was that initial shock, isn't it? She was rolling around, writhing around. It looked like it was going to be something really bad, and I'm sure it was very sore at the time, but something that she's shrugged off as Eva Lynch comes into the attack.
Beautifully bowled, flighted outside Lewis's off stump, and a bit like we saw with the Irish men's team throughout the South Africa series, no different to this Northwest Warriors approach. It looks like Ireland are only going to play one way here. Attack, attack, attack.
Well, it's certainly the way Gabby Lewis plays, so as long as she's at the crease, that's the way it's going to be.
So nearly the second wicket. If first slip was in place, I think that would have gone straight into her hands, but a little bit of fortune for Lewis, right off a regulation outside edge. Nicely bowled by Eva Lynch.
She's putting a very good line of length round the wicket, just creating that angle. Nice flight. She does change her pace nicely. If she sees you coming down, she will bowl flatter. And the change-up is really the one that turns. There's that short one. Hits straight out to the fielder in the deep.
Yeah, the flatter one this time from Lynch. Two very proud parents, I'd say, watching on. Eva Lynch here. Might let you read out the message you've just received in a moment, Isabel, after this delivery.
Well bowled. Just pushes Delaney back into her crease, and that was nearly a chance, but a misfield means it was an easy single. Hannah Landier just fumbling.
Who did you just get a WhatsApp from?
Alan Lewis is obviously watching on, he says. I won't say where he's watching from, but he says he loves the name, the Lou Meg, and that I'm right, down the ground is the way to go. Chance, but wide of the fielder. Beautifully hit from Gabby Lewis. It was in the air for a while, but she manages to place it well.
The fielder, Silver Seegers, the way she got her body position into, I thought it was hit straight to her. She put the reverse cups out, slower through the air, definitely at a very catchable height, but just a couple of yards to the right of Silver Seegers, who wasn't even able to get close to it. And Lewis hits the ball so hard that it runs away rapidly across the turf for 4. Going to be back-to-back boundaries. This one a much more authoritative stroke. Glorious batting from Gabby Lewis. You can see why She has so many Irish cricket fans talking the way she hits the ball. That's as crisp as anything, and almost the perfect technique off the low full toss.
Yeah, beautifully played by Lewis. Probably the shot of the day for her so far. It was an easy one to put away, but you still have to do the job, and she does that. And now Ireland racing along. 4 overs gone. They're already 49 for 1.
Do you think there's a little bit of a reaction from the Irish side to what was maybe, even though they won the game, a slightly disappointing performance in some aspects? Maybe the way that they didn't get a few more runs, and the way that the Dutch were so dominant with the bat in the second half of the innings?
I think as a team they will have been actually disappointed with the outcome, even though it was quite a convincing victory. But I think in particular Gabby Lewis is always disappointed when she doesn't make her mark. She tends to think that every game is the most important game, which is probably in some ways a good way to look at it, but sometimes doesn't give herself a chance to come into the game. So change in bowling, Iris Spinning coming back on. I just want to take you back to that drop chance. Well, can we call it a drop? We can't really see from the angle we're at. Fifth ball of the last over, when we thought that possibly Lewis had hit it straight into the hands of cover. As soon as the ball is in the air and within 10 metres of a fielder, their legs stop working. It's something that our old coach Aaron Hamilton used to be big on, to take an extra step, and in that case just actually take a step. And so often we see it, and it's the same along the ground. As soon as the ball is within reach, we fall to the ground and legs just stop working. Whereas the best fielders around the world, men's and women's, just keep their feet moving all the time.
Yeah, that's why you see the best fielders walking in very much in a ready position at the point of release. And another good example there, the feet planted to the ground. If maybe half a step could have been taken.
And another example on the boundary, one more step and she would have kept that one in. Just one extra step can make all the difference. But beautiful placement from Delaney in the air, and half a stop at backward point, but not enough to stop another boundary. And that's the 50 up for Ireland.
Yeah, and I just wonder, was this the right change, going back to the pace of Zvillian? I thought Silver Seeger started really nicely, obviously found the wicket as well. This one thuds into the pad, and the runs are going to continue to come. We'll wait for Aidan Seaver's signal, but I'll be pretty sure as Oisin Canary picks it up, our great photographer, and pops it to the fielder, that we'll see that signalled as leg byes.
Yeah, just 2 straight. Gets the glove of Laura Delaney, so that'll go to her tally. She's a very individual way of playing that one off her pads. Really squares up, and the back comes right around. Not one you'd teach other players, but she plays it really well.
Yeah, apologies, I think you're spot on. Maybe a little bit of glove through onto maybe then the thigh pad, and then running away for the boundary 4. But anything that's been errant in line in any way, both Lewis and now Delaney have been really punishing on.
It feels like that first game was a little bit of a warm-up. Ireland really hitting their straps now. Nice change up from Svilling, slower, and just a little, just dropped on Delaney. She did well to keep that one out. 5 gone. Ireland 57 for 1.
Yeah, Ireland in a fantastic position. And all of this is key preparation for both sides, really looking forward to the 2021 ICC Women's T20 World Cup qualifier for the European region. 6 sides will be heading out to La Manga from August 26th to 30th next month. A slightly different temperature, you would think, down there in the southeast of Spain, but those 6 sides, France, Germany, Turkey, and then the 3 nations who know each other probably the best of all of them, Ireland, the Netherlands and Scotland, probably the 3 favourites in the event, but just one place through to the global qualifier.
Yeah, it's a huge tournament. So difficult when there's only one spot. You can't make a mistake in a tournament. That's why these games are so important. Both teams figuring out the best combinations, their best orders, who's best bowling and when, what fielding positions they'll go in. So not only do they want to win each game, they want to make sure that they have the right combinations ready for that tournament, as we see Heather Seegers coming on to bowl from the Malahide Castle end.
She's hit into the leg side immediately. The runs continue to flow for Ireland. Seems wherever the Lionesses bowl at the moment, Lewis or Delaney is dispatching it to the boundary. Brilliant batting. Not a great delivery to start Seeger's spell.
Yeah, too far down leg. Fine leg in the ring. And this is the pressure that these two can put on you. as a bowling team, how are you going to answer this? They know they've got a low total to defend, and once you start worrying about where you're landing the ball, then you're in trouble. Good, clever cricket from Gabby Lewis. There's a big gap forward of mid-wicket there. Both fielders out on the boundary.
Yeah, that qualifier down in La Manga, the beautiful facilities there. Grass wickets, of course, now in at that La Manga club facility. We'll see those 6 sides all play out for one spot to progress to the global qualifier, where there'll be 2 places at the main T20 World Cup. Izzy, do you feel there's enough potential and talent in this team not to just get through that European qualifier? Obviously that's the first step, but to go back on and get onto the global stage at a full T20 World Cup?
I think so. I think it's a team that's improving all the time, so there's the path there. They have to beat France and Germany, who they don't know much about, along with Turkey, and get past Scotland and Netherlands, who we're seeing now. We saw Ireland lose to Scotland in game 1 as Heather Seegers just strays down leg side again, and then they have to go into the T20 World Cup qualifier. Usually 2 spots go from that into the full World Cup, so you have to get into the final. We've done it before a couple of times, Ireland, but not on the last occasion. It was a disappointing tournament when Thailand surprised Ireland. That was an inexperienced team. They didn't have someone down the order who could finish the game off. You have to say they threw it away in the end.
Yeah, Ireland finishing 3rd in that tournament, beating Papua New Guinea in the 3rd place playoff back in Scotland in 2019. But that real prize right at the top there, it's to go to a full T20 World Cup down in South Africa against the biggest women's sides in the world. Do you feel it's obviously a long way to go to get there, but if they could get there, could this group of young players perhaps become something of the next golden generation?
Absolutely. I think the key for them is just getting tours like this, but away in the kinds of countries that they're going to be playing. Say Sri Lanka is the next World Cup, if they can get, or the next World Cup qualifier is 50 over, but that'll be the first time many of these players will have been playing in a country with that kind of weather and those kinds of wickets, and that's something that this Irish team have been missing. Difficult when people aren't professional to ask them to go on that number of trips, and that's why it hasn't been in the past, but that's what I hope that Ireland will move towards, so that they can get to that World Cup in 2023 and feel really prepared if they do qualify.
Yeah, this European qualifier, the first of the 5 regional qualifiers, and it's been so difficult for all the administrators, everyone involved in ICC and all the countries, to get these tournaments to happen through the ongoing pandemic. But the good news is the latest word with the EU digital travel certificates now in place for all of those who've been vaccinated, travel becoming a lot easier within Europe. So the first of the 5 qualifiers will be down in La Manga Club at the end of next month. Just one place will be available for Europe, and that's the real implication of Ireland missing out from the last T20 World Cup qualifier. If they'd taken one of the 2 spots, they'd already be in the global qualifier. They wouldn't have dropped down to the regional level. Everything has implications. Everything's very meritocratic in the current ICC structures.
Yeah, Silver Seegers now coming back on. You had your wish. Again, down leg. Yeah, and look, I think that the fact that Ireland haven't played either Scotland or Netherlands, it's really good running from Laura Delaney, but hasn't played either of those teams in a number of years, and there are lots of newish players or people they've only seen maybe once before playing, will be good going into that tournament, because there'll be loads of people they haven't played before.
But having had that exposure to both Scotland earlier and this summer and the Netherlands here today, do you feel that's an advantage for the Irish side?
I think so. Those are the 2 most experienced teams, and then the next 3 are 3 teams that Ireland will know nothing about, and that can be difficult, especially as a batter. How are you going to play people that you don't know anything against? And no doubt they'll get footage each day and try and learn what they can going into each match, but you need to be able to think on your feet, and coming from a small cricketing nation here, we don't have lots of different players to have to figure out game plans against out in the middle very often, so it's a skill that perhaps these players will be learning now that they haven't had before.
Bit of a mix-up. Direct hit's going to be very close. Direct hit's going to be surely out. It is. Aidan Seaver takes his time. What a piece of fielding. It looked like Delaney and Lewis were going to be coasting Ireland home, but magnificent work. The throw coming in from Miranda Verengmar. What a day she's had with the bat, and now she finds a middle stump and catches Delaney short.
Well, they've taken her on because she's usually a wicket keeper, and you could see it was somewhat of a wicket keeper's throw, but they are very accurate usually, and Delaney unable to win the race between batter and ball. So disappointment for her. She's gone for 15. She went at a run of ball, and now Shauna Kavanagh joins Lewis out in the middle.
Yeah, Aidan Seaver really took his time over that decision, and I'm going to do what I always do when it comes to a close run out here on the HBV Studios stream. I'm going to get back onto the YouTube. I'm going to slow down the speed. I'm going to check, was he right? And look at that for a decision. Can't be more than 6 inches, maybe 9 at most, but that is very clearly and very definitely out. Well done, Aidan Seaver.
Absolutely brilliant umpiring. Really took his time. That's what I love to see from an umpire. There's no rush. Make sure that you really make... you have to be sure that the batter's out, that they get the benefit of the doubt. So great umpiring.
Again, the change to Seegers has worked, not this time with a wicket for her bowling, but in the field. Just finally, Isabel, I'm going to be coming off call now. I'll leave you with Andrew Blair-White, but Germany women aside to keep an eye on in that qualifier as well. The last 10 T20Is, they've won all of them, beating Austria 5-0 and France 5-0.
Yeah, impressive from them. It's hard to go 10 games without dropping one. So be interesting to see how they go against teams ranked so much further ahead of them. Might find themselves wondering how to come back if they have a big over. That's sometimes the issue.
Beautifully bowled. The angle in and the turn away. You can see Seegers here, just everything pushing in towards off stump. It looks like it's going to carry on towards off stump, but this one turns away, beats the outside edge of Kavanagh. Magnificent leg spin bowling.
Big chance. And given. Kavanagh goes.
And that is magnificent, sensational stuff, in fact, from Silver Seegers. This one hasn't turned as much. It's just skidded on. Look at this, Isabel. Angling in, and again I think Aidan Seaver's probably got this one right. We're not going to be able to tell from that angle. We'll see if we can take the other angle. We'll take one more final look before I bid you adieu. Is he just skidding on, no real turn on offer? Where is this going to hit?
Yeah.
Probably Midland leg.
I think that's hitting the outside leg stump. I think that's skidding on, but I think it's out. Don't worry, Andrew Leonard, leg spinner. Everyone knows you favour the leg spinners, all right? But I think it's out, but I don't think it's as certain as you.
I'll leave you with one word. That was plum. Over to Andrew Blair-White.
Leg Spinners Union, thank you, Andrew Leonard, and welcome, Andrew Blair-White. Well, that over has changed a few things. 2 wickets gone in that one, 7 gone, and Ireland 67 for 3. Nima Richardson coming in at 5, and Andrew Blair-White joining me in the commentary box.
Yeah, thank you very much, Isabel. Yeah, I thought Ireland were coasting there at the start of that over. They had a very destructive power play. They've approached this run chase exactly how they should have done. Rebecca Stokel signalling her intent from very early on. So we've got Frederique Overdyke coming in to the attack, who looked pretty good on Monday with her right arm medium pace.
She certainly did. She was the best bowler for Netherlands. Well, second best possibly to Ava Lynch. She took 2 wickets for 24 in her 4 overs. It starts with a wide. She's the kind of bowler Gabby Lewis can take a liking to, though. Just a skiddy, low arm action. And we'll see her do a lot of that. Lewis playing down the ground. She'll look to just get it straighter between mid-off and mid-on. Or long on, I should say. So just the 42 runs required with almost 13 overs left in the innings. As Overdyke strays again down leg side. And that's the kind of thing that can happen, isn't it? When there's pressure on, you know that you have to bowl straight and tight, and then it just strays down leg side.
Yeah, especially when you're bowling to somebody like Gabby Lewis, who you know can be so destructive if you're not on your line.
It's a good length. Really good length. Nice solid defence from Lewis. Good to see she can change the gears.
I think for the Dutch here, it's just trying to snare another 2 quick wickets, even if Ireland were 80 for 5.
Yeah, good cricket. Takes on the fielder. Almost a chance, in fact. Mid-wicket coming around. That's Ava Lynch. Just couldn't quite get the feet around. I'm looking forward to seeing Hannah land here coming into the team today. I thought she would have got a bowl a bit earlier than this. Apparently express pace. But yet to see her. They're going with the more experienced bowlers first.
Yeah, Emma Richardson now taking strike. You'd have to think she'll be continuing the Irish way here of batting very aggressively.
Easy decision. She goes aggressively, but too aggressively. Richardson, she's gone first ball. Looks to pull sweep the ball. And there's no doubt in Jareth McCready's mind that one was adjacent.
Yeah, well, Charlotte McCready had his finger up before they'd even managed to appeal there. The Dutch side, that was very, very adjacent from Emma Richardson, trying to go over square leg, who was in the ring. Leaves them 70 for 4. And after how many wickets do you start getting a little bit cold feet in this run chase, Isabel?
The way that this Irish team is set up is they attack up front and then they actually have the more conservative batters a little bit further down. The likes of Mary Waldron, Leah Paul coming in down the order. They tend to open the batting in the 50 over game. Still very capable of hitting boundaries, but probably a little bit more conservative. There's also Orla Prendergast yet to come. She was mightily impressive in match 1. She scored her runs very quickly, 27 from just 13 balls. But it's Lara Moritz, and again a wide. Gabby Lewis making sure it gets past the fielder at 45 before running after the run out of Laura Delaney.
Yeah, it's good to see though Ireland are sticking to their guns here with their order. Would have been maybe probably an easy option to bring in a Mary Waldron or a Leah Paul now to maybe just calm things down a little bit. But they've persisted with Lara Moritz at number 6, as they should if they feel that's where she's going to bat in this 20 over side. But a good start there from Overdyke. A couple of wides early on, but that key wicket Emma Richardson. Ireland are 71 for 4 after 8.
Yeah, you can see she's trying to bowl very straight, can't you? And it's not great reading if you're an Irish fan in that middle order. 2 ducks. First Shauna Kavanagh and then Emma Richardson, and that was after the run out of Laura Delaney. Needless, you'd have to say. That's what sparked the collapse in the middle. And it's Lara Moritz who'll look to be seeing this game out with Gabby Lewis. She's looked good on 28. That's from just 18 deliveries, but it hasn't been chanceless. There have been times when it's looked close, ball in the air just a couple of inches one way or the other, and she could have been back in the hutch already herself. And it's Silver Seegers. She's going to bowl her 3rd over. She's bowled excellently so far today. Well worked from Moritz. It's a little bit dangerous going on the back foot to Seegers though. She does push it through at a decent pace, then skids on.
Yeah, but good batting, just getting off the mark. Just very interesting having a look at that scorecard of the Irish innings. Is Sophie McMahon down to come in at number 10?
Lifted over 45, clever batting from Lewis and an appreciative round of applause from the crowd. They enjoyed that boundary.
Yeah, lovely shot this from Lewis. She does like getting on that sweep, and short fine leg is in the ring. It's gone over her head pretty comfortably here. Good execution.
What I like about Gabby Lewis on the sweep is she really just plays it on line. Otherwise, she's going to play down the ground. But if you get to leg stump or outside leg stump, then she's very, very comfortable playing the sweep. I hope it's something we're going to see at some point today and maybe tomorrow, is her dominance down the ground. We really haven't seen it so far this series. Such a beautiful driver of the ball. And there it is. Straight down the ground. Couple of bounces over the rope, easy as you like.
Yeah, it's a super shot from Gabby Lewis. And throughout the Arca Super Series this year, we've seen this shot on many different occasions, just in the arc of her. It's that ability to hit it just straight over the umpire's head that's so impressive from Lewis. Just a couple of bounces, runs away, her second boundary.
Well, you usually know she's in the mood when she starts playing like that. And you know she's really in the mood when you see her going over extra, so that's one to look out for. Silver Seegers might look to take the ball away from her a little bit, not knowing that that's actually a strength of Lewis. Great placement in between the fielders, and it's so quick down towards that boundary, down the hill. The fielders had no chance. It's back-to-back boundaries.
Yeah, great adjustment this from Gabby Lewis Seegers. A little bit flatter, back of a length. It's just excellent placement more than anything. Going down towards the big tree there at Malahide. It runs away very quickly down there.
And Lewis now racing along to 40. And they opt not to take on the fielder at 45. Miranda Ringmar will be happy not to have to throw that. It's been an expensive over. 13 from it. 9 gone. Ireland 84 for 4.
Yeah, Lewis has raced to 40 not out now. It's been a good innings. She'll have been very disappointed on Monday, having been dismissed pretty cheaply. She's cashing in today, and she'll now be sensing with just 26 runs required for Ireland, a little not out. You know, maybe a 55, 60 not out for is probably on the table.
Just going back to that batting order you mentioned, Sophie McMahon at 10. It looks like they're going to have the likes of Mary Waldron, Leah Paul, Sophie McMahon right down the order, but those three characters are the ones that are likely to save a game if you're in trouble. More so probably than the likes of Lara Moritz, who we're seeing batting right now. So do you think that comes into the thinking? They have a lot of power in the team, and it's more about the personalities where they sit in the batting lineup.
Yeah, well, we've potentially seen this in the men's Interpros this year with the Northwest Warriors. Seems to be quite similar to that. They've got an awful lot of their hard-hitting players up the order, and then the likes of an Andy McBride down the order. So if it does go wrong, that you do have those options. And the fact that you've got somebody like Orla Prendergast who can probably play both the sensible innings and the attacking innings in at number 7 is such a luxury to have for this Irish side.
I'll take on the fielder. Lara Moritz gets home pretty easily. Cool, calm customer, not worried about getting hit by the fielder. Jareth McCready gets out of the way well. Good thinking from the umpire. She's bowled really well again here. Apart from those wides, Frederique Overdyke. She is bowling to a field where mid-wicket and long on are out on the boundaries, opting to only have the two outside the circle. So when she gets it wrong, it's going to go down the leg side for wide. And again, Babette Dalida not able to tidy up this time. She's been good though. There've been an awful lot of wides down the leg side, and she's generally been up to the task.
It's big pressure here on Overdyke bowling with just the two fielders outside the rope to Gabby Lewis is 40 not out. Now the situation of the game leads to that. But you think it's interesting as well that her line seems to be dead on when you're bowling to maybe a Lara Moritz who's just in, and then Gabby Lewis is 40 not out. You're maybe trying to strain too much to bowl a full length York or something like that, and sometimes you can drift line wise.
Yeah, it's a good point. Always difficult to bowl to the in batter, but she's been very good to Lara Moritz, and apart from those few wides, she's been very tight. So halfway through Ireland's innings, and they sit at 87 for 4. At the same point in Netherlands' innings, they were 37 for 3, so a huge difference. But in came Miranda Veringmeyer. What an innings she played. 60 from 50 deliveries. Juliet Post did really well batting with her, 20 from 22. But if Ireland keep going the way they are, then it could be over sooner rather than later. Just the 23 runs to win and 60 balls to do it in. They won't want to take all of those though, Ireland.
No, I'm sure with Gabby Lewis and Lara Moritz for that matter at the crease, they'll be wanting to do this as quickly as possible. Going to be a change in bowling. Heather Seeger is going to come back into the attack, this time from the Dublin Road end.
And it's Heather Seegers from the Dublin Road end. Uppish, but in the gap. Beautiful shot from Lewis. She's driving fluently now. That's another 4.
Yeah, an excellent shot from Lewis. Just shows you when you're in good form, these things, these sort of deliveries, they always go to the boundary. They never end up in extra cover's hands like they might do if you're a little bit out of nick. But Gabby Lewis striking it so cleanly.
I think that's the difference we've seen from between Lewis and Miranda Veringmeyer. She hit the fielders an awful lot. Hits it as hard as anyone, but just didn't have the placement. Not early on in her innings anyway. And it is that player, Veringmeyer, who'll chase that one. Just came off the pad of Lewis. Lara Moritz 1 from 7. How often do you see it that a hitter usually would have been coming in quite late on in the order, comes up the order and changes the way they played, and that's not how they got there. We want to see your attack. And attack she does. Just really helps that one on its way. Netherlands opting to stay with an attacking field. I think that's going to help them get wickets, but not if you bowl down leg. First boundary for Lara Moritz.
Yeah, it's a poor enough delivery from Seegers on this time. Moritz has just managed to get that past short fine leg. It's running away, and that'll go a long way to easing a couple of nerves for Moritz. Always nice to get your first boundary away.
Well, she'll just have to bowl that one again. Seeger's losing her run up somewhat. Those 9 runs so far in this over brings the runs required to just 14 in 57 balls. So despite losing a few wickets, the Irish keep marching on. 2 wide and beautiful hands from Moritz. She's getting into her work now. It's back-to-back 4s.
Yeah, an excellent shot from Lara Moritz. She brings Ireland to 100 there. A lovely square drive. This Seeger's overcompensating. Almost on that wide line. Too much width, especially with the field. And smashed away by Moritz. You must be pretty impressed overall, though, with the way that Ireland have attacked this run chase. They've maybe been a little bit susceptible in years gone by of getting a little bit stuck with this type of run chase, and they've come out and really blitzed this Dutch attack.
Yeah, good batting from Moritz. I am impressed, and I think that's in part due to how they've set things up in this batting lineup. We've mentioned it a few times that they're kind of more conservative batters, or later on that frees up the top order to play an attacking game. They always have the likes of Sophie McMahon, Leah Paul, Mary Waldron, that they can pop up the order if they need to steady things. Again, helped round the corner from Ritz. Doesn't get as much of it this time, so Veringmeyer will stop it before it reaches the boundary, but not before Ireland get 2.
Yes, Seegers has just strayed in line a fair bit in that over. And that ends the 11th with Ireland now 102 for 4 and just 8 runs required to seal a series victory here against Netherlands.
Yeah, 15 from that last over. The 100 was brought up in it, so apologies for not calling that. And Maritz was 1 from 7. She's now 9 from 11. She's catching up. Gabby Lewis has been so impressive today. Missed out day 1. Didn't miss out twice in a row. She's 44.
Yeah, having a look there at that match summary. Ringmeyer with an excellent 60 earlier, but probably the game won for Ireland in that opening power play. With the Dutch 22 for 3 after 6 overs. Very hard to go and post a really competitive score after such a start.
Beautifully played by Lewis. That's all class and touch and elegance. 2 fielders there, and it's nothing but hands on hips and wonders from Netherlands as that one trickles over the rope.
Yeah, this game is finishing in a hurry here, thanks to Gabby Lewis, who moves to 48 not out. She'll be desperately looking for another international half century here in Malahide, off just 27 balls so far. Taking this Ireland side over the line.
Look how tall she is when she plays that shot. Didn't play it too well that time, but transfers all of her weight through her front foot. No collapsing on the back foot. That's where her real strength comes, Lewis. I see it so often. Those big long levers. Such an asset. Short arm jab. She wanted to finish it quickly, and she's done it with a boundary, and that brings up the 50 for Lewis and the win for Ireland.
Yeah, an excellent performance from Ireland, who bring up a win today in this third T20 international between Ireland and Netherlands, and win the series 2-0 with a game to play tomorrow. Gabby Lewis, brilliant today, 52 off 29, 11 boundaries in there as well, and barely a chance given as well.
Between Ireland and Netherlands. We thank you all very much indeed for your company.
Yes, a really impressive innings from Gabby Lewis. 52 from just 29. Incredible to think that she wasn't fully into flow until halfway through that innings. 179 strike rate, 11 fours, no sixes, just the 50 minutes for Ireland to complete that victory in 11 overs, 3 balls. Ireland finishing on 110 for 4, making easy work of it in the end, despite a few quick wickets, courtesy of a run out and a couple of false shots. So that's match 3, the second game played in the series. Ireland take a 2-0 unassailable lead in the T20 International Challenge against Netherlands. They won by 28 runs in match 1, and they win by 6 wickets in match 2. Steep learning curve for the Netherlands.
Just have a look there at the 2 coaching setups. Something fists there. A bit of behind the scenes drama here in the commentary box, trying to think through the player of the match decision, which will be coming to you in a couple of minutes' time. Leonard doing the honours there, but having a look there at that match summary, and really an excellent all-round effort from Ireland.
Well, I think Ireland would have been disappointed with their bowling performance on match 1 despite winning. Orla Prendergast in that match was supremely impressive. She got 1 wicket for 5 runs in just 3 overs. Took 2 today, went for 14, even though her last over went for a few. Sophie McMahon, unbelievable in the field, and she bowled well as well. She took 1 for 12, and Lara Maritz, Emma Richardson taking 1 each. Ringmeyer, though, with the bat for Netherlands, 60 from 50. She kept them in the game, but it was Gabby Lewis for Ireland who took the game away. 52 from just 29 deliveries. Rebecca Stokel started out the innings so well. She went over the rope a few times along the ground, it has to be said. She made 17 from 11. Laura Delaney looked good at 15 from 15 before she was run out. Silver Seegers did really well. She took 2 wickets but went for a few runs late on. Frederique Overdyke, she's been brilliant in both matches. Took 1 for 12 today in her 2.5 overs. She took 2 in match 1 as well. But we didn't get to see her, the fast bowler Hannah Land here. Looking forward to seeing her. Hopefully she'll get a go in match 3. Express pace, Andrew, we're supposed to have. But maybe it was just too express for today.
Well, it's probably just a game that didn't suit a young player coming through, you know, that potentially might go for runs. The Netherlands had to be very tight early on, and the game somewhat got away from them in that first couple of overs, with Stokely and Lewis taking such an aggressive option. And it's really at the moment probably the big difference between the two sides is that ball striking in the power play overs. We saw Ireland get, I think it was 64 or 65 from their 6 overs in the power play, in comparison to the Dutch 22 for 3. And so winning and losing at games there when there's 30-40 runs difference in a power play.
Something really interesting that happened in that second innings, Netherlands opting to only keep 2 outside the ring for the entire game. Do you reckon they thought, right, the game is gone, let's see how we can bowl to 2 outside the ring, because they weren't happy with their opening bowlers? They're trying to see what their best combination is when they can only have 2 outside the ring?
Yeah, there might be a piece of that, and also they were obviously searching wickets, and they got a little clump there. They got 3 pretty quick wickets, with Laura Delaney with an excellent run out from Ringmeyer, and then Shona Kavanagh and Emma Richardson both falling quickly. And at that stage, I said it to you on commentary, if they managed to get another wicket or 2, if they'd gotten Gabby Lewis in that little cluster and maybe had Ireland 80 for 5 or 85 for 5 with Lewis out, you know, the game could have swung. And yeah, I don't think you can blame them for being, I suppose, maybe a little bit overly aggressive, but as a result, probably Ireland have gotten to that target of 110 2 or 3 overs before they would have done anyway.
So you're saying it's kind of like when you're chasing a huge total, rather than just try and get to a mediocre total in reply, you try and win the game, and you can actually end up losing by even more by being aggressive with the bat. Say you're chasing a 200 in a T20 game, and then you're all out for 85 because you're looking for the big shots. That this was the equivalent in bowling terms.
Yeah, definitely so. And like the case when you're chasing that big runs and you're going to go at it aggressively, you know, a lot of the times you are going to lose, and you're probably going to lose pretty comfortably. But 1 every 10, you'd have taken another couple of wickets there, and suddenly the game gets really nervy. And you would have, even though Ireland do bat down all the way, you'd have had girls coming in at 7, 8, 9 that really weren't thinking that they were going to have to bat. And sometimes something massive can happen like that. Not often, but certainly it can happen at times.
And just another one, Emma Richardson, 1 for 31. She was bowling really well, had a really good spell, and then the last over of her spell went for a lot of runs. Something that Captain Laura Delaney might need to look at, matching up, making sure she doesn't bowl to Ringmeyer too much. Just thinking about the matchups between batters and bowlers, we saw Leah Paul come on against Ringmeyer. Well, something to discuss going forward, but for now we're going to join Andrew Leonard for the post-match presentation.
Yeah, hello and welcome to the post-match presentation for this, the second match of the T20 International Challenge Series. Our second completed match, Ireland taking an unassailable 2-0 lead. We're going to start by speaking to the losing captain. That's Heather Seegers. Heather, not the day you would have wanted, but some really good stuff with the bat. In particular, a fantastic 5th wicket partnership for you.
Yes, Miranda has always been a player we can count on. It's good to see that Juliet helped her out in the middle.
The two of them combined really effectively with the bat. Did you feel 109 was going to be enough?
No, I don't think on this outfield 109 is ever going to be enough.
And what was it about the batting that you were most impressed with the way Miranda struck the ball and Juliet supported her?
Yeah, I think after losing so many quick wickets, it's great how they built the innings back up.
You struggled a bit at first with the ball, but a good fight back. Your sister Silver in the wickets again, bowling some beautiful leg breaks. When you found the 4th wicket, did you feel like you were in the game?
Yeah, I think when you're taking wickets, you're always in the game. And that was our tactic.
Finally, one final game tomorrow. Hopefully the weather will play ball. Can you bounce back and finish with a consolation win?
Yeah, I think we can.
Okay, well, we'll keep it short and simple.
Thanks.
Best of luck with fighting back tomorrow. That's Heather Seegers,
Thank you.
the Dutch captain, Dutch Lionesses. Time now for the player of the match. And a few contenders today, particularly for the Netherlands. Miranda Verengmar, 60 off 50 deliveries, her second career. T20I 50, good innings from Juliette Post in support of her. 2 wickets for Silver Seegers with the ball, and for Ireland, some really good stuff again from Orla Prendergast leading her way with the attack. It was a split decision in the commentary box, I'm not going to lie, but the player of the match for her 5th career, T20I 50, 52 off 29 deliveries, smashed the ball everywhere, invented a new shot. The player of the match, it's Gabby Lewis. Congratulations, Gabby.
Thank you. Thanks, Will.
I have to ask you first, we've coined it in the commentary box, what about this Lou Meg, the reverse sweep through the keeper's legs?
I know. Luckily, I was happy to get something on it. Look, I saw the gap and I was like, if I just get something on it, it'll go. So luckily it came off. Could have got on my stumps for all I know. So look, it came off for me today. So
wickets were falling around you. You probably made the chase look a little easier than it actually was.
Yeah, look, I probably made a wrong decision with my call with the lure, which led to a few wickets. So I kind of had no choice, but I had to be there at the end. Like I didn't want to leave it to other people. And fair play to Lara coming in, playing your shots. It's hard in that situation when you're kind of chasing more of a low total to kind of, maybe you kind of want to poke around, but look, she played her shots and made it so much easier for me at the other end. So fair play to her.
It felt to me like right from the off, the start of the batting innings, it was a different intent from your side today. Did you talk about this over the couple of days of rain, that you wanted to go out with more intent?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously looking ahead into the qualifiers, we want to be that aggressive batting line. We want to go hard at the start, no matter who we play. And look, it came off today, and hopefully it'll come off for us in the qualifiers. So fingers crossed now.
Congratulations on your player of the match award. Good
Thanks,
luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
We'll chat now to the winning captain, and it's going to be a very happy captain because Laura Delaney has led her side to back-to-back T20I series victories. The first one, a 3-1 win in the Celtic Challenge over Scotland up in Stormont, and now they've got an unassailable 2-0 lead over the Dutch Lionesses. Dellers, you must be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, thrilled. Really pleased with how we went about our business today. I think we won both the power plays. I thought we were brilliant in the bowling power play. Ava and OP got us off to a brilliant start, and then likewise with the bat, Rebecca and Gabby again got us off to a brilliant start.
You didn't have it all your own way. That partnership between Verengmar and Post was a really impressive one.
Yeah, we put down a few chances which hopefully tomorrow we can rectify, but in fairness to the Dutch, I thought they rebuilt really well, and I suppose put us under a little bit of pressure, which is what we want ahead of the qualifiers. We need to be tested in that middle period as well.
Yeah, how pleasing is it to take not just 1 but 2 series wins over 2 of your rivals you're going to face out there in La Manga?
Yeah, hopefully it'll give us a lot of confidence going into the qualifiers. We know it's going to be a tough series and anything can happen in a qualifying tournament, so hopefully we can take a lot of confidence from this going forward.
Finally, maybe a special word for not just the gathered crowd but all your family and friends who are here enjoying the bit of hospitality today. It must have been a special day.
I know, absolutely. I think we're delighted to have people back, I suppose, following the game, but also a big thank you to HBV and Heatley and the streaming service, because I suppose more exposure for the women's game is what we're after, and hopefully it'll help grow the game.
Well, look, Dellers, many congratulations. That's Laura Delaney, the Irish women's captain. Sure, she's going to get over to all the family and friends who've gathered here today, and that's going to wrap up the post-match presentation and wrap up our coverage today. Fantastic stuff from Ireland women. They have taken an unassailable 2-0 lead in the series. Can they close it out? Can they make it the perfect week? We're going to be bringing you every match of the third and final match of the series tomorrow. The game starts at 4 p.m. We'll be on air with you from about 3:50. Join us then.